final game as the Orioles and Nationals close out this three-game weekend series. The Orioles looking for a three-game sweep, and the Nats looking to salvage the finale before moving on to Atlanta. And hi, everybody. Jim Hunter and Dave Johnson. Thanks for joining us as the Orioles all of a sudden playing their best baseball of the year. Dave, they've won 3 straight games, trying to make it 4 in a row, and the difference has been all of a sudden the bats are exploding.
Well, not only are they hitting, but they're hitting with runners in scoring position, and I think that's the key. We've had games this year where we've been able to get some hits and put double-digit hits on the board, but they haven't been able to get the key hits. And I think what you've seen recently in this series here against the Nationals in this homestand, I think what you're seeing is guys on base, and they're taking their time to have a different approach, and they're getting the hits when they need to get the hits. And they're big hits because they are driving in some runs.
Yeah, and for the first time all season, the Orioles have several hitters hot at the same time. The Nationals, on the other hand, they have a hitter who's been hot all year, and he's just killed the Orioles. For more on that, Bob and Rob.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim. And Dave's point's well taken about people being on base. The Nats haven't had that lately. This weekend they have because Nyjer Morgan's been on base. But when it comes to driving in runs, it's one guy, and that's Big Bad Dunn.
Yeah, Adam Dunn is, they've wasted a lot of his effort here in this series. He's got 6 RBI. You see this month, 7 home runs, 20 RBI. He's heated up in May and June, and he's really shown a lot of teams out there that he's a free agent at the end of the season. So if you need a big power-hitting DH first base outfielder type guy, Adam Dunn has the best resume right now.
Right now, leading the National League in extra base hits, and he's second in total bases. So, Jim, he's up there with some of the really good sluggers in all of baseball, not just the National League, with those numbers.
And today he's in the lineup as DH, not the first baseman. And Dave, the Orioles are looking for their first 4-game winning streak since the final 4 games of last year. And it's kind of interesting. We've been waiting all year for the run support for the starters, yet it's been the combination of the hitters and the bullpen that has led the Orioles to the surge.
Yeah, it's just interesting because everything's kind of come together. The starters haven't been there, like you said, but the bullpen has pitched outstanding over the last couple of games. And then we talked about the hitting with runners in scoring position. That's how you're going to put those 5, 6, 7 runs on the board. And right now, with the starters not pitching well, that's really what this club needs.
And what we've seen in this series, Bob and Rob, is the Orioles getting that big 2-out hit in particular, and the Nationals pitcher's not able to do that to get the inning over.
Yeah, and today there's a rookie pitcher going in, Luis Adelano, one of the leading winners on the staff. He's got to keep the ball down to be effective, so look for ground ball outs.
Oh, yeah, and if he gets a lead, you got to hold it past the 6th inning. Out of 12 starts, he's only gone 6 or more innings, only 4 times, and that's not good enough. You got to get 21, 24 outs. If you get a 6 or a 5-run lead, please hold the lead at least into the 7th or 8th inning.
For the Orioles, Jeremy Guthrie has seen the Nats 5 different starts in his career, a 1-1 record with a sub-2 ERA. Battle of the Beltways for 2010 ends today.
Major League Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. And by Honda. Look for money-saving leases and low financing at your Honda dealer. It is a warm, early summer's day here. Sunday daytime baseball at Camden Yards and a nice crowd enjoying sunshine and Orioles and Nationals baseball. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Nationals as they look to salvage the finale of this series. Niger Morgan, Adam Kennedy, and Ryan Zimmerman, with Adam Dunn DHing today. 7 home runs and 20 RBIs with a respectable batting average in the month of June. Josh Willingham and Roger Bernardina. Mike Morse at first base today. Alberto Gonzalez, his first start in the series. And Will Nieves will catch and bat ninth.
Well, when you look at Jeremy Guthrie, here's a guy that has not got a lot of run support. The Orioles need to put some runs on the board for him so he can run with it and throw strikes. He's been doing a nice job with that. He hasn't walked as many guys this year. He needs to get off to a fast start. The first inning's been a bugaboo with him. He's got to be able to go out, throw strikes, get the guys in the dugout with the bats in their hands for him to get some runs on the board. And then success against the Nats. He's pitched very well against the Nationals. He's got good stats against them. Hopefully that can continue for Jeremy.
And the scouting report brought to you by PNC, for the achiever in all of us. So Guthrie looking for his 4th win on the year, which, if he gets it, he will take over the team lead in victories. He and Brad Bergeson are still tied with 3 wins for the team lead. Bergeson took a no decision in his return to the mound yesterday. And it's kind of amazing, as the Orioles today playing game 75, that the staff leader still has but 3 wins.
Yeah, when you said that if he gets 4, he takes over the lead, that's not a good thing when you're in the end of June.
Here's Niger Morgan taking a strike. Jeremy Guthrie, it's his 16th start, and he is trying to snap what is now a personal 5-game losing streak. Slapped foul, and it's quickly 0-2 on Niger Morgan, who is the catalyst at the top of the lineup. If he gets on with his speed, he can really make things happen. Here's the 0-2, and Guthrie goes right at him and gets a called strike 3 from Tim Cheetah. So how about that, Rob Dibble? He goes right at him. No waste pitch. Here it is. Try to hit it.
Well, you got to put the ball in play, Jim, and you got to make some contact to start off the ball game. You can't take a called 3rd strike. And so Kinetic there on the pitch track. Pitch track brought to you by Kinetic North America, providing world-class technology to our national and homeland security customers.
So Guthrie picks up the strikeout. Here's Adam Kennedy, who was a late addition to the lineup. Serves it to center field. Jones in on it. And he has it for the out. And it's 2 away. Let's get a look at our defense, brought to you by Cisco Federal, a proud mission partner to the United States Department of Defense.
Right, you got Patterson, Jones, and Markakis roaming the outfield today with Tejada. Lugo is shortstop in place of Sturis, with Scott Moore back at second base, Wigginton at first. Between Wieters getting the day game assignment again behind the plate, and of course Guthrie on the hill.
Now, that's got to be one of the best outfields in the game, especially on defense. The speed out there is just incredible. You got a center fielder playing left. Markakis has a good arm out and right. So you guys definitely have a decent outfield out there.
Well, this is an outfield that, when you look at it from the defensive side, you're right, Rob. It's they do have some speed. Markakis is a guy that just gets it done out there. He doesn't necessarily have the speed of the other 2 out there. But I still like to see Adam Jones play a little bit more aggressive, just like Morgan plays. And I know he's not the same guy, but they can be similar guys. And I see Morgan out there playing with reckless abandon to some extent, but I just think Jones really needs to understand that he needs to take that position and just take it personally when a ball drops out in the outfield. That he should take it personally, that shouldn't have happened.
2-1 the count on Ryan Zimmerman.
Kind of like the guy that was here yesterday, Paul Blair.
He was pretty good.
Jim, you had a story you told me about Frank Robinson, Hall of Famer, listening to Paul Blair when Paul would position him.
2-1 pitch is popped up. Backing up is Lugo. Coming in is Patterson. Corey calls, and he's got it for the out. More on the Paul Blair story when we get back. 3 up, 3 down, go the Nats. No score. Here come the Birds in the bottom of the first. Down in the top of the first, here come the Birds. Southwest Airlines starting lineups for the Orioles in the bottom of the first. Corey Patterson and Miguel Tejada. Look at Miguel in the 3-game winning streak, a .500 batting average with a home run, and more importantly, 6 RBIs in that number 2 spot. Markakis, Wigginton, and Scott with Jones in center field. Wieters will catch Scott Moore at second today, and Julio Lugo at shortstop.
Well, the guy just has to get him out. Luis Adelano, PNC Pitching Scouting Report, brought to you by PNC for the achiever in all of us. Find your best pitch, stick with it all day. Blackjack, and you go 21 innings or 21 outs or better, and he needs to go more than that. He's only done it 4 times past the 6th inning in 12 Major League starts.
Luis Adelano is 25 years old. He's out of Puerto Rico, and this is rookie season with the Nats. Misses ball 1 to Patterson, who puts the next one in play. Center fielder Morgan, left fielder Willingham, and it's Morgan who has it for the out. And one away here in the Oriole first.
Well, and, you know, the defense is Morgan out in center field, Willingham in left, Bernardino in right. Gonzalez is getting a fill-in for today. Zimmerman at third base. Kennedy is filling in for the bad-necked Guzman. Morse at first base, and Dunn's DHing Adelano on the hill, and Nieves backing up Pudge today.
And the defense brought to you by Cisco Federal, a proud mission partner to the United States Department of Defense. So here is the suddenly red-hot Miguel Tejada. Batting average creeping back towards 300. And he looks over a strike, and it's 0-1. Miguel, the other night, ended the long home run drought. Look at 22 points, that batting average on the rise over the past 10 games.
We both basically have the same type of leadoff guys, though. They're not on-base percentage guys. You got Patterson swung at the first pitch. He pops out. You have Nigel Morgan striking out, taking call, third strike. So, you know, your leadoff guy is showing the entire bench what that pitcher has for the day. So if he comes out and swings the first pitch, what is Tejada? He's never seen Adelano. He doesn't know what this guy's featuring today.
Yeah, I agree. You and I talked about that a little bit, Rob, how that leadoff batter, the first guy, especially the first time up in a game, make the guy work a little bit. They've got to have the confidence that they can hit, and if nothing else, just put the ball in play with 2 strikes. They don't have to get a hit to lead off the game, but they got to make the guy use all his pitches or at least throw 3 or 4.
Be a tough out. When you're leading off the game, be a tough out.
Well, the realities of it is, right now for the Orioles, however, is Corey Patterson really is the only option in that leadoff spot unless Julio Lugo leads off. With Brian Roberts out, they tried Adam Jones there. He just couldn't adapt to it, so they put him back down in the lineup, and his bat has come back. Popped up, shallow left. Willingham will come in on it. And makes the catch, and 2 down on 2 fly balls.
You would think Patterson, going all the way back to the Cubs, I think the worst thing that ever happened to him was hitting the 20-plus home runs one season, thought he was a home run hitter. Listen, when you're an on-base percentage type guy, being a slap hitter with speed's not a bad thing. Well, if you can hit 280 to 300 with a 370 on base percentage, you're going to be a star, and you're going to lead off for that team for many years.
And I think when you talk about Patterson, this is a veteran guy. It's not like we're not talking Japanese to the guy. We're saying, hey, look, you've got to take more pitches. You've got to work the count a little bit better. We don't care if you hit a home run or get a hit.
Right.
We don't care about that. We need you to work the count better and cut down on your strikeouts. Be able to just slap the ball, put the ball in play, bunt with 2 strikes for all I care, but you got to be more patient up at the plate. You can't swing at the first pitch of the game.
Nick Markakis, who has walked 43 times on the year to lead the Orioles, gets ahead 2 balls and no strikes. And Nick has been as consistent as Oriole fans have come to expect, in particular over the last 3 weeks. And there's a ball hit towards the gap. Over is Morgan, and he has it for the out. So each team going quickly and quietly, 3 up and 3 down in the first. Second inning coming up at Camden Yards. No score. Brought to you by Luna. Call today for the Luna Double and get your second room of flooring free. Call 877-241-LUNA. And the team leaders in doubles, the Nationals with Adam Dunn, 22 doubles. Not a bad 1-2. He also leads in home runs. And Nick Markakis of the Orioles leading the Birds with 23 two-base hits. And here is Adam Dunn leading off. He is DHing today, played first base in the first 2 days. Jim Riggleman's last chance to use the American League rules. This is the final interleague game, and Birds go back to the American League, and the Nats go back to the National League.
And he's been very adequate and a good fielder as far as changing from the outfield to first base. Not easy to switch position at this level, but as far as 6 straight years with 35 homers or more, a high on-base percentage. Yeah, he's got a high strikeout, but for my money, not many guys that can hit the long ball like Dunn still in the big leagues.
Well, there's a 4-pitch walk, so Guthrie, after a very easy 3-up, 3-down first, a 4-pitch walk to Adam Dunn to begin the second. And we have the game's first base runner.
I think that's what a lot of people get locked in on, the strikeouts. Look, you can't just lock in on one statistic. You can't just lock in on any one statistics and say something good or bad about a guy, because when you look at the peripherals for Dunn, he's the guy that still gets the job done, even though he does have a high strikeout total.
I look at the fear factor. If I'm out there pitching and I got to face him, say, a starter 3 times, I'm afraid he could beat me every time he steps to the plate. And that's the advantage that Dunn has over a lot of guys, since they have gotten steroids pretty much out of the game. Guys are not hitting home runs. They're not hitting 50 and 60 home runs anymore. So a guy that can get you 35 to 40 home runs a year, play 150 games a year, keeps himself in really good shape, great guy in the clubhouse. I'm puzzled why the Nationals haven't re-signed him yet.
Willingham quickly behind in the count, 0-2.
He's an imposing figure at the plate. There's no doubt. He's one of those guys that not only is a power hitter, but when you look at him, you just, as a pitcher, you're standing there going, wow.
I don't want to piece of this
I got to get the ball by this guy somehow. I think I might want to pitch to the next hitter.
And he just makes everybody around him better in the lineup. They see better pitches because he walks 100-plus times a year.
Here's the 0-2 to Willingham. It's over but low, 1-2 on the Nationals' right fielder. Jim Riggleman doing a great job with the Nationals. He has worked with Mike Rizzo to transform the culture of this team, and that's a very critical component when you're beginning to build something.
Well, and it's getting good people in here. You started with Pudge Rodriguez. You got him a 2-year deal, future Hall of Famer, wonderful guy, loves to play every day. Adam Kennedy was brought in here. They were hoping they'd get more out of Marquis. They brought in Matt Capps to close. He's been fantastic. So a lot of these moves were not just good players, but good people in the clubhouse, too. They did a great job.
Guthrie chasing Adam Dunn back. Adam does not have a steal on the year.
I think the best acquisitions were the 15 evaluators and scouts the Nationals picked up this offseason, including Roy Clark out of Atlanta.
Bouncer to short, could be 2. Lugo, second one. Scott Moore back to first. There's a double play. It goes 6-4-3. Erases the walk and 2 men down.
You can see Jeremy makes a pretty good pitch. He ended up getting ahead of Willingham, so he's able to put something down in the zone. Willingham's got to put the ball in play with 2 strikes, and makes him stay on top of that ball and gets the ground ball double play there. So he stayed away from trouble by walking Dunn, although you don't want to put that leadoff guy on. He stayed away from the home run ball there.
Roger Bernardina bats now, 2 outs and the bases empty. Takes strike 1.
And Josh Willingham has to start doing a better job of going to right field. I mean, they were giving him a huge hole between first and second, and with a guy on first, you got to try to move him up with no outs.
Now, this is the 6th consecutive start that Jeremy Guthrie is looking for his 4th win. And he has lost in each of those 5 starts with an ERA approaching 6. 20 earned runs, 34 hits, and 5 home runs. And Dave mentioned the bad combination. In the last 5 starts, the Orioles have scored 1, 0, 1, 3, and 3 runs while he was in the game. So no run support, and he hasn't pitched well.
Yeah, and that's obviously a bad combination. You would like to. The thing is that if you're going to have bad games, maybe the time to do it is when your club isn't scoring runs for you. So you never want to plan that out, obviously. You don't know what's going to happen. But fortunately, Jeremy hasn't gone out there and thrown a couple, 3 or 4 good games and been wasted because of lack of run support. So it's an opportunity for him to try to get something going here before the All-Star break. Maybe he can go out and throw a 3 or 4 hitter and put a couple zeros up on the board, and then the Orioles can scratch out a couple runs for him, get him a win, and then go from there on a nice run.
No, I wonder how much longer the Orioles stick with this guy. He's been overhyped. They've talked about him for years, but he really hasn't put up a lot of production.
Just outside ball 3.
Yeah, it's a strange situation because having watched him pitch every game that he's pitched since he's been here, the first 2 years he really did pitch really well, and we just didn't play well, and we didn't score runs for him in particular, even though the offense was decent at the time. Yet he's never been a big winner here for the Orioles and did not pitch well in his third year. So when you look at the situation where he's not able to match his good outings with the Orioles playing good defense or scoring runs in those particular games, or for that matter, those particular years. So nothing's really matched up well for him. When he pitched well, the club hasn't scored well, and there have been times, of course, when he has not thrown well.
And there's a walk on a 3-2 pitch to Roger Bernardina. 2 walks in the inning. And the Nationals have a 2-out base runner. Don't forget, visit Orioles.com now for your chance to own a piece of Orioles and Nationals history. The throwback jerseys and the hats worn yesterday by both teams are on auction at Orioles.com. All the proceeds benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation. You can even bid on the Orioles game-worn helmets and the jerseys worn in the pregame ceremonies by the members of the 1970 World Champs. Now, each item has been autographed and authenticated, and the bidding closes on Monday, July the 5th. So get online, Orioles.com. Don't miss out.
Well, and I know you guys broadcast for the Orioles, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Cy Young Award winner from last year win on one of the worst teams in baseball in Kansas City, Zach Greinke?
Yes, he did.
So if you have good stuff, it translates to winning some ball games and also keeping your team in a lot of ball games. Sometimes you do have to throw some shutouts and go 6 innings and allow 1 run. You know, you can't have these over 4 ERAs, and I think way too many young pitchers are overhyped to the extent that, oh yeah, well, we'll wait on his potential. Why should you have to wait on potential?
Well, Jeremy's biggest problem is sometimes the lackadaisical things that happen. You look in this situation, he walks Dunn, gets the big double play, stays out of it, and then he walks the next guy who's got no power. He can't hurt you. You got to throw strikes to that guy. You got to pump him right in there, and he ends up throwing that guy 6 or 7 pitches and walking him. That's just it's either a lack of concentration or he's just trying to be too fine to a guy that he doesn't need to be fine to.
Misses outside to Mike Morse, who is playing at first base today. 1-1 the count with 2 down. The Orioles on this 3-game winning streak, one thing the pitching staff has done very well, they have kept the ball in the ballpark. They have not allowed a home run in any of the last 3 games. And this from a staff that on the year has allowed the most in the American League. So that's one way to help you win, is force the other team into one of those 3 or 4 hit rallies instead of one swing getting runs on the board.
They have done a great job. I know the Nationals had gone about 5 or 6 games, and I'm superstitious. I didn't want to bring it up. They've gone about 6 games without giving up a home run, and then they came into this series. But, you got to get back to that.
How long you been doing the games? This your second year?
Second year.
Okay, I'll just give you a little advice. Anything you say here has nothing to do with what happens down there.
You may believe that.
Superstitious or not.
You may believe that, but that's my partner. Every time we show a graphic that we're 4 in our last saves, we blow a save.
If that were the case, we could talk about all negative stuff, assuming it's going to turn positive.
Well, you do it your way, I'll do it mine. How about that?
That's great.
Hey, if you think it's true, it's true.
Well, the former player in you, I can understand it. There's a bouncer foul.
I've always tried to stay away from the superstitions, but the fact is it creeps in your mind. It does. It just gets in your mind.
We work with a guy that ate pancakes every day before he went to the mound, so I know what you're talking about.
It worked for him. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Count only 1-2.
Well, and I've said that before, working with Jim, and you got Mike Flanagan here, and you got Rick Dempsey here, you got Dave here, you got so many guys that have knowledge. That's what I did when I came up to the major leagues. Johnny Bench was a color analyst for the TV there. Joe Nuxall was working radio. I mean, I talked to everybody and anybody, because you can never have enough information on this game. You'll never have it all figured out. So, if I'm an Orioles player, yesterday I would have been talking to every one of those guys from that 70 team. If I was Adam Jones, I'm talking to Paul Blair. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get better, is if you ask guys that played 15 and 20 years, well, what did you do every day? And if I'm a catcher on the Nationals or in the organization, I'm getting with Pudge Rodriguez and saying, how have you been able to catch 2,400 games in the major leagues? What have you done? What do you eat? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's the only way to make yourself better.
There's the future Hall of Famer, Ivan Rodriguez.
He's awesome.
Getting a day off today. 2-2 on Mike Morse as the inning extends following the 2-out walk, and there's ball 3.
I was telling him I was getting in shape. I'm going to play this offseason in an over 45-year-old baseball league. I usually play softball, but he's saying, well, maybe I should do that. They have one of those down in Miami. I'm like, you're already a Hall of Famer here in the big leagues. Why would you want to play in the offseason? That's how much he loves the game, and that's why I love Latin players. They go home to their own countries and they play in the winter.
Bernardino goes on 3-2, and it's popped up to shallow center field. Adam Jones moves in on it. Morse's retired inning ends. 2 walks. They have 1 left. Middle of the second at Camden Yards. Battle of the Beltways. No score.
Everybody, as Koji Ohara is activated off the disabled list today, the corresponding move was to designate Garrett Atkins for assignment. Now, the veteran has been released by the team. He never really got the numbers he needed at the plate, batting just .214, had only 1 home run. And as Juan Samuel said, the power production just wasn't there. It was hard to find him playing time. And with Felix P.A. becoming healthy and expected to be activated soon, they needed the roster spot as well. So in the midst of that, though, the Orioles really going on an offensive surge. Ty Wigginton was talking to me about that kind of inexplicable phenomena of team slumps versus team power surges and team offensive surges. And he said one thing that helps with the surge is the fact that it raises the bar and it raises the competition amongst players. He said whenever your teammates are doing well, there's always that one guy that goes 0-for in a night, and you try everything not to be that guy. So Ty Wigginton back in the game after missing a couple games with some back problems, looking to get something going. Jim?
All right, Amber, and a ground ball to deep short. Gonzalez with that good arm gets him easily and 1 away. And as Amber described with the designating for assignment, this is a new wave in baseball where this is available for front offices. So Andy McPhail can designate Garrett Atkins, who is taken off the 40-man roster by that move, but remains Orioles property for 10 days. And here's what happens. The Orioles now have 10 days to find a trade partner. If he clears waivers, they can ask him to accept the minor league assignment, or because of his service time, he can say, I'm a free agent. Or at the end of 10 days, the Orioles can just say, okay, we're going to release you, but it takes that 10-day period. So it's one of these new clauses in the basic agreement that actually benefits teams.
Well, this was something that obviously is not a surprise to people. People saw that Garrett was not performing at the level, anywhere near the level they hoped he would, and they tried to give him as much time as possible to be able to get things going. It just didn't happen for him. So, unfortunately, they do designate him, and they have time to make some kind of deal. I think it would be unusual, or I think it would be a situation that would surprise a lot of people if somebody actually would take him, because then they would assume his salary.
Right.
So most likely what would happen is he would clear waivers and he would be released, and at that point he could accept an assignment to try to go down, and if somebody wants to give him an opportunity at AAA to try to get things going, or he could just wait for a phone call.
Right. You can wait for him to get the outright release and then just prorate him the major league minimum for the rest of the year. And the Giants did that with Pat Burrell, where they were able to pick up Pat the Bat, and he's been phenomenal for the Giants. So maybe they'll wait a little bit on Garrett Atkins, and somebody can find lightning in a bottle.
Well, that's what people don't understand. As crazy as this game is, you can just be absolutely horrendous for one team and put on a different uniform 2 days later, and you go off and you hit 345 for a month and a half. It just happens.
And from the Oriole perspective, and I doubt this will happen, but if he somehow ended up at AAA Norfolk and they figured out what he's doing wrong at the plate, and then it clicked, all of a sudden you have that effective hitter again, because he's been searching for it all year. You don't know how many hours he and Terry Crowley have been in that tunnel trying to figure out what's wrong with his swing and his approach to his swing. And if he somehow went to AAA, he might be able to figure it out. But usually when the team that designates you asks you that, you go somewhere else.
Well, they get Luke Scott on the strikeout. Excellent changeup. We talked about a pitch working for Adelano, and that might be it today. The off-speed stuff against this Orioles power-hitting lineup. Here you see the Exmo, the circle change. Look him turning it over. Spins like a gyro top. Everybody was fascinated by Daisuke Matsuzaka. He just does it a little bit more, where he really cuts it, throws a screwball, but that's the circle change, and that seems to be the fad and the rage these days.
So here is Adam Jones, who right now is the Orioles' hottest hitter, and he takes a strike. Adam Jones on this homestand has found the power surge. He has hit 3 home runs in the last 4 games and comes into this game with 12 home runs, trailing Ty Wigginton for just 1 on the team lead. Lines this to right, but right at Roger Bernardina. And the Orioles again go 3 up and 3 down. Good start for Luis Adelano. We'll head to the 3rd at Camden Yards. Nats and O's scoreless. Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. And by Acura, Acura Advance. It is a warm summer's day downtown, and the fans fanning themselves. But it is baseball kind of weather I know hitters like.
Well, and pitchers do too. When it's hot and humid, easy to get loose. Easy to crank it up.
Alberto Gonzalez leads off for the Nats. Will Nieves and Niger Morgan follow. Guthrie deals down and in 1-0. First start for Gonzalez in this series. He and Desmond has had a tough series defensively, and a bouncer towards third. Tejada gloves, gets up and throws, scooped on the other end by Ty Wigginton. Nicely done on each end, and Gonzalez retired for the first out.
Yeah, Tejada did a nice job. You can see he ends up playing that hop pretty good. He knows he's going to get a little bit of an in-between, and he times it perfectly, and then understands he also has enough time, although he didn't make a very good throw. Wiggy did a nice job of making the scoop there at first base for the out.
He's still got a good arm, very strong. It's just a different throw from third base, and still got the great glove. I mean, it all starts with catching the ball.
It's amazing how he has mastered that exact play this year, where he plays it to the side, goes down to a knee, knowing he's got enough arm strength to get it out. His whole goal seems to be just catch the ball, just catch the ball.
What I found with Tejada is that he really didn't show off the arm at shortstop anywhere near as much as you see it at third base. He has time, and he makes that strong overhand throw from third base, and you're like, wow. I mean, I know he had a good arm, but it really does show from third base, where at shortstop, it's kind of a gradual progression. You kind of catch the ball, you got a little momentum and rhythm, and you just kind of throw the ball over there, half a step in time. But at third base, I've been wowed by the strength of his arm.
Well, we saw him last year in Houston. Still had the great arm. I mean, and that was at shortstop. So it's just a question of sometimes you got to even be a little bit quicker at third and give your first baseman, Wigington, a chance to pick it out of the dirt.
Taking all the way is Nieves, 3-1 to count. Nieves catching today with the day game after the late afternoon game. Ivan Rodriguez caught the first 2 games in this series. Solid backup, Will Nieves. Tapper back towards the mound. Easy play for Guthrie. And gets it across and 2 men down. Don't forget, Wednesday, first 25,000 fans 15 and over receive a Matt Wieters bobblehead presented by AT&T. Don't miss this great item that's sure to be a big hit with fans and collectors. For tickets, 888-848-BIRD or Orioles.com. So there's a bobblehead kind of a homestand. Adam Jones the other day against the Marlins. Now Matt Wieters coming up. Dave, that shelf at home is going to get filled for you.
Yes, it is. You've been in my house. I didn't know you knew I had a shelf full of those bobbleheads.
Words out.
Waiting for that Jim Hunter bobblehead.
Niger Morgan. So you're looking for one of them gray-haired bobbleheads, huh?
You said that. I didn't.
Yeah, like it's not well known.
I'm just saying you said it.
Hey, the gray-haired guy. 2-0 on Niger Morgan, who was called out on strikes on 3 pitches to begin the game. Guthrie worked the first game of the homestand. That was Tuesday against the Marlins. Allowed 6 runs in 6 innings. He has not won a game in a month. May 25th against Oakland, his last victory. 3 wins, 2 at home, 1 on the road.
I just think sometimes Jeremy still just tries to make great pitches instead of just make a good pitch. Throw a strike, see them, they'll put the ball in play. They're going to get themselves out most of the time. Just look at their averages, and he just tries to be too fine. I think he can throw the ball where he wants to most of the time. It's just where he wants to throw it is not the right spot. I think he just tries to be too good with it.
Well, and you don't have to, like you just said, it's one of the best analogies I've ever heard about pitching. You don't have to be perfect. And when you start trying to throw perfect breaking balls, you hang them. When you try to hit a perfect spot on your pitches, like right there, this guy took a 3rd strike the last at bat. You have that in the back of your mind, and you walk him the next time you face him.
And now you put a stolen base threat on, which can distract your attention to the hitter.
I mean, it's not like Niger's going to hit a home run off you, so you challenge the guy with nothing but fastballs and say, I'll take my chances that you're, like you just said, you're going to get yourself out, but you're definitely not going to beat me with a home run.
Pitch out, and Niger Morgan not moving. Morgan has 16 steals on the year.
He's been caught a bunch of times, like 10 times maybe, 8 times?
11 times.
11 times, and he's been picked off a bunch in that 11.
The caught stealing number 11 most in the National League. He is tied for 4th in steals with the 16.
Well, he's got great speed, but that doesn't translate that you're a great base stealer. I mean, Bernie Williams of the Yankees always had great speed. I played with him when he was 17 in Puerto Rico in Caguas, and he never turned into a great base stealer. So there's an art form to the stealing of the base.
Yeah, it's interesting with the speed aspect of the game. He never adapted to that, yet scoring from first on a double, I don't think there was anyone better.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, going, left to right, he was great. Going back on some balls, he had a lot of trouble with. And it's just, a lot of people overrate speed. You have to be a smart base runner. It's like when Jeff Bagwell was still playing. Great base runner. Albert Pujols, not fast, but a great base runner because they're smart and heads-up guys.
I talked about Corey Patterson the same way as we talked about Morgan. So Patterson can run, but he can steal bases, but he's not a great base stealer. And you got to look at the situation where I talked with a little bit. I was on the radio with Joe yesterday, and I talked about how when Morgan gets on, he seemed to really distract Arrieta a couple days ago. And I think the pitchers need to take a little bit more offensive role in that situation. In other words, I'm going to mess with you.
Right.
Instead of you messing with me, I'm going to mess with you. And it relaxes you a little bit more.
What do you mean? How do you do that?
Well, that is by coming up and knowing that I'm going to throw over 3 times, or I'm going to bob my head a couple times. I'm trying to give him a little bit of a look to try to make him see if he'll
change
flinch.
your time, step
and then,
off,
and then
do
step
different
back,
things.
and hold, step back, hold, and then slide step. And instead of acting like he's messing with me, I want to take control and mess with him.
Morgan runs, swinging is Adam Kennedy, protecting with 2 strikes, so Morgan will get back to first base.
So therefore, you feel more confident, and then when you make the pitch, you're making the pitch because you want to make the pitch, as opposed to I'm looking over there, which most guys can't even see the runner at first base. Most right-handers can't even see the runner. So many times they'll throw over when they shouldn't throw over, and they don't throw over when they should. But that whole not knowing thing, where when I was on the mound, it's like, I'm messing with you, you're not messing with me.
Here's a 2-2 to Kennedy with Morgan running. It's fouled straight down at the plate.
Well, that's something we worked on every spring, all the way up through the minor leagues with the red system, was the stepping off, the changing speeds, never being the same one-look guy at a first, but also on second base. You know, a lot of young pitchers, they think, I'll come set and I'll look back once and that's okay. Good base stealers will pick that up, or good base runners, that you're a one-looker, and then they time you and they're off.
Yeah, I like guys to do the inside move as well as the spin move, and that way they don't know what's going to happen.
Sharply into Wiggins, and he knocks it down. He'll pick it up and step on the bag in the inning end. So a walk and a man left. Mid-third, no score. Bob Carpenter joins the fun when we come back.
It is a sizzling hot day near the Inner Harbor on a day when the ball should be carrying. Nobody's able to be able to do much of anything with these 2 pitchers so far. Guthrie, good stuff. Adelano not really keeping the ball down like he always does, but gets outs.
Well, in his last start, he started challenging people up high, and he had much more success. So it was a question of just changing eye levels, up, down, good change-up. And your guy Guthrie, he's been changing speeds and getting a lot of ground balls.
Well, he's got great stuff. I mean, this is a guy who can throw 95 to 96 mile an hour at times, and he's got a good slider, but he's just never been able to really just put it together and be consistent with it. And he's just he's always seems to be trying to find himself and get a rhythm and get a little positive thing going, like, look, this is what I do, and I do it well, and I'm going to do it until you beat me with it. He just hasn't been able to come up with some consistency.
2 of the most economical innings that Adelano has started any ball game with this year. 21 pitches, 12 strikes. His 7th hitter is Matt Wieters, who's had a good series. That's at the knees. Wieters 4 for 7, 2 walks, 2 RBIs this weekend. And right now he's working on a 5-game hitting streak, 7 for his last 16. Tight zone from Tim Cheetah today.
Wieters is a guy that I've been talking about over the last year and a half, where he came up with all the promise. He's the switch hitting guy with power and all this stuff, and he just really has never really hit for the power. He's hit some home runs, but I'm waiting for him to hit into the warehouse. I'm waiting for him to drive one deep into the bleachers in right center field, and he just hasn't been that guy. He's hit some home runs to left center field. He almost seems to slap the ball for a home run like it's an accident, which is fine, but he gets those 2-0, 3-1 counts. I'd like to see him turn on some balls.
Well, that one by him.
Joe Mauer did not hit for power until last year. I mean, he's a high average guy. He's a contact guy. So it's, the home runs will come. Kinetic here on the pitch track, and you see that two-seamer move back across the plate, and he just missed it. And, you're talking about a guy 87, 88 throwing it right by some of your guys. And I think, both teams have some thinkers on him. Guthrie's got great stuff, but he thinks too much, and so he thinks too much. You know what? Sometimes just go out there with your 95, be competitive, and see if you can beat the other team with a fastball. Good friend of mine, my roommate and teammate, Norm Charlton, was one of the pitching instructors in Seattle for 5 years before he went up to the bullpen, and now he's back home in Texas. And one instructional league, they would not let any of the young pitchers throw any breaking balls. They were much more efficient. They got more outs. They gave up less runs. And when they let them have their changeups and curveballs back, the bad pitching came back. And, it's a question of just telling yourself, what is my job? My job is to go out there, go 7, 8, 9 innings, give my team an opportunity to win the game. At the end of the day, it's not about Adelano or Guthrie. It's about doing your job long enough to give the Orioles a chance to win or the Nationals a chance to win.
0-2 to Scott Moore, whose big pinch hit home run was the comeback story of Friday night. He's had a good series, 3 hits now, and the homer and 2 RBIs, hitting .275. Will Nieves sets up inside on a 1-2. He got the fastball out over the plate, but Moore couldn't do anything with it.
Well, I talk about it all the time to where I'm flopping it up there at 85, 86 mile an hour, and I'm throwing 85% fastballs. And I always thought, man, if I could throw the ball 95 mile an hour, just once, I'd like to have that bullet in my pocket, or in my like the Deputy Fife, just have it up there in my pocket if I needed it. Just one time, my one bullet.
Okay, Barney.
Well, Adelano's got a different bullet today. That's the off-speed pitch.
Well, we talked about that before the game, Bob, that find a pitch that works and stick with it. And Kinetic here on the pitch track, the bottom drops out, and that's some great movement, too. It's not about just that it's a change of speeds. It moved in a downward motion, so even if Moore does make contact, he beats it into the ground, and it's a ground ball out.
Well, this is a pitch that he should really just take and say, look, you know what? This is the one pitch I have today that is filthy, and I need to use it. Until it doesn't work anymore, I got to go with it.
Adelano gets ahead of Lugo. He's not a strikeout pitcher. He's not a fly ball pitcher. And of the first 8 hitters in the game, he has only 1 ground out. So he has a different kind of repertoire today. And that's outside, evens the count 1-1.
Hey, you got a guy right up the street, Mike Pelfrey, will be going to the All-Star game this year. And you know what happened? He picked up a forkball in spring training. I asked our announcers, Hernandez and Darling, hey, how's the forkball? Oh, it's average. Well, he stuck with it and made it above average, and now he's having tremendous success. So that's a guy, 9th player chosen overall 5 years ago. 4 years, pretty much average stuff, throws 98 miles an hour. Now he's got something to go with it, and a game plan. He's getting a lot of people out.
And based on your previous conversation, that's why a lot of ball clubs wait on that potential you guys were talking about.
Well,
goes soft and misses inside 2-2.
Many a time you see a guy who's got the good fastball, and they've had success all the way through. And even though they may struggle in professional baseball, they're just hard-headed. It's like, no, this is me. This is what I got. This is what's going to work. It's like you gotta be willing to make some adjustments. Try something new. See if something else will work.
Well, Jason Marquis is an indication of that. They tried to convince him in Atlanta what a great sinker he had, and he wanted to throw 4-seamers. Then he really never mastered that until he got to St. Louis, and Dave Duncan managed to hammer away at that. And then a couple of times he's been on championship teams in the All-Star game.
Well, and
when healthy.
Well, and when you get to the point where you're running out of chances, that's when you're willing, I think, to open up to some guys.
Voting open for the All-Star game in Anaheim. You Nationals fans, you can go to Nationals.com and help send your favorite ball players to the Midsummer Classic in Anaheim. Vote early, vote often. Nationals.com. Time is running out. All-Star break commences 2 weeks from today.
Well, I didn't learn a breaking ball until I was about 21, 22. And that was because in spring, one of my first big league camps, I was with Derek Botello. And it was the first time anybody ever made sense of how to throw an off-speed pitch. I'll tell you in a second. And, he said, listen, it's got to feel right to you. Everybody had always said, hey, this is how you hold it, this is how you throw it. But then he finally said, hey, it's got to work for you. Then I went down to Puerto Rico, and Ed Figueroa told me that I had to, it was mandatory to throw it 2-0 and 3-0 and 3-1, and then I got comfortable with it.
Zimmerman comfortable with that play, as good as anybody in baseball. Only 2 ground ball outs in 3 perfect innings for Luis Adelano. It helps when you have an all-star third baseman over to the right of you. Major League Baseball on Masson, brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Not sure if it's any cooler out on the waters today. 94 at game time. Fortunately for everybody in the ballpark, some cloud cover. And the middle innings commence. Orioles fans feeling pretty good about the weekend. Zimmerman, Dunn, Willingham, 3, 4, and 5 for the Nationals. And Ryan Zimmerman still on that RBI drought. 2 in the last 2 weeks. In this series, after flying out in the first, he's 3 for 9 with a walk.
We were talking about Guthrie and a guy who just tries to be too fine. My point I was trying to make, I wish I threw 95, just maybe one pitch. But the point is that 85, 86, I was going to throw it over. And you're going to have to hit it.
That's what you had. Well,
and with these guys that throw 90 plus, they seem to think that, well, every fastball I throw over the plate's going to get hit if it's not on the black, and it's just not the case.
No, it's not true. You got to play the percentages. You got to, I'll take you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times percentage, and sometimes when you're behind, just throw it over. And a guy tries to kill the ball, and I was taught by so many older pitchers that a 2-0 BP fastball is much better than a 2-0 curveball ball in the dirt, which goes to 3-0. So, which would you rather do? Start walking a bunch of guys or make them put it in play and let your defense help you out?
Zimmerman looking for something to work with on 3-1, but it's high and tight. 4 base runners for the Nationals, all 4 of them walks. And it started 2 innings ago with Adam Dunn, who walks in now.
And this is something that Guthrie really hasn't done too much of, especially the first part of this year. But now he's been on this run where he hasn't won some games, he hasn't pitched as well, and behind the count a lot, walks are coming up there. Clearly, when you start to walk 4, 5, 6 guys in a game, a club like this, or any club for that matter, is going to get a base hit here or there, and they're going to beat you.
Adam Dunn taking first pitch low.
You got to believe in your stuff. I mean, look at Jamie Moyer, how long he's pitched. Tom Glavine went over 300 games with that, 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 91 at times, but the great changeup that he was able to make you hit by getting ahead in the count. It wasn't just, he was a great. No, he came after you, got ahead in the count, and set up that pitch to make you fail.
Well, it's about that first pitch strike. You always talk about, look, you got to let for first pitch strike. I don't think pitchers understand how much pressure that puts on the hitter when they're constantly 0-1. Next thing you know, they start swinging at the first pitch, because they don't want to get behind 0-1, because they know you're going to be 0-1 if they don't swing the bat. And next thing you know, second time around, because they see you going 0-1 on all the other hitters, they're like, look, I better be prepared on that first pitch. And now they may either chase a bad pitch or they put the ball in play on the first pitch. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with having a guy put the ball in play on the first pitch you throw.
That's a breaking ball that comes back in, and Adam Dunn only looks at it. He's gone.
He made some real good pitches to Dunn. He threw the ball in, he threw the ball away, and then he threw a pretty good breaking ball. The backdoor breaking ball, well, according to the box, catches the outside corner there, and
it did.
Dunn goes down.
That's a good pitch.
Yep.
Adam Dunn strikes out for the 4th time in this series. Orioles have walked him once. He's done lots of damage with just 2 hits. And here's Josh Willingham, who hit into the 6-4-3 double play his first time.
But to get back to what you were talking about before, that was a perfect at-bat for Guthrie. You don't have to be any better than that. Just try to be consistent, keep repeating it. I had many pitching coaches talk about muscle memory. Remember that last at-bat, if you're Guthrie. How did you get Adam Dunn out? How did you throw those pitches? And just keep trying to replicate that over and over and over. You know, what do we say about Halladay and Cliff Lee and Johan Santana? They repeat their delivery. Not that their pitches are always that great. They repeat their delivery. Fernando Valenzuela, every pitch he threw, same arm angle. I don't care what it was. Curveball, screwball, changeup, fastball. They all came from the same arm slot, and the pitch coming out of the hand looked the same to every hitter. That's why he was so difficult.
And I think with Guthrie, with him having above-average stuff, and throwing the ball mid-90s at times, he's got the good slider and changeup at times. What he does, I think he messes himself up. Every now and then he'll want to drop down, like twice a game he'll want to drop down and throw a ball, or he'll do the pause thing. He'll bring his knee up and pause momentarily, and he goes like, look, just be consistent, find that groove, and just throw every pitch the same way.
With the runner going, Willingham, that ball hooks away from Adam Jones. And Ryan Zimmerman's going to score. Willingham will go to third. That ball had some crazy spin on it. And I wonder if Adam Jones was thinking about grabbing that and getting a double play. And before he could adjust, the ball spun away from him. That thing looked like a duck hook golf ball right there.
Well, you know, and we know that Willingham's got some tremendous power, and that line drive just takes off. And also, it's a day game. And there's a lot of white shirts in the stands, and maybe he lost the ball coming out of the green seats behind home plate. But like you said, Bob, he misplayed that, and he played it into a run-scoring triple to Willingham.
Yeah, he looked like he actually took a step the other way. When the ball was first hit, it looked like he took a step to his left, and clearly the ball was to his right. And then, like you said, Bob, the ball either curved or knuckled a little bit away from him at the last minute, but he didn't play it well off the bat, and sometimes that will happen in a day game.
I think that ball moved 7 or 8 feet offline from where Adam Jones thought it was going to be.
Well, and I know he's a Gold Glove center fielder, but that's not his normal position. He and I talked last time we played. He came up as a shortstop with Seattle behind Mike Morse. So someone in that organization had him penciled into a different position. So he's basically a very adequate center fielder.
Bernardina drives one to the wall, and now Roger Bernardina has hit 5 Major League home runs. Every one of them have been on the road. And that's the first time he's hit one to the opposite field, 3-0 Washington.
Oh, but better than that was the base hit he got to left yesterday, Bob, for an RBI, and then a 2-run home run to left field. And I told him yesterday before the game, if you start going to left field, young man, and you hit 320 at the Major League level, you're going to make an awful lot of money and play an awful long time. Last 2 days, best thing I've seen out of Bernardino in a long time going the other way.
And I think what happened in that situation there is that wasn't a terrible pitch. That ball was away. It may have been actually off the plate, but Bernardino did do what you were talking about, Rob. He hits the ball the other way, and when you do that and you get the ball up in the air in the heat here in the summertime, that ball will carry anytime.
Here's Michael Morse with 1 out, bases empty. Leadoff walk caused a problem for Guthrie in this inning. The Willingham hooking line drive to center. And then Roger Bernardino with his 5th Major League home run. He's now driven in 23 runs.
Well, we know 6-0 and 5-0 hasn't worked for the Nationals, so you might want to go about 10-0 if you want to try to hold a lead.
Well, either that or just stop at 3. You know, anything 5 or more seems to be fatal. Here's Morse, who flied to center his first time.
No, but good for Roger. Great kid, hard worker.
That ball's hit hard. Tejada kneels down again. Looks in his glove, finds the ball, and uses that strong arm. 2 outs.
You know, it was good that Guthrie bounced back. I saw that he was unnerved when the home run was hit by Bernardino. But he actually comes back right away, throws a slider for a strike, and gets ahead of Morse, and then gets the ground ball. Tejada makes the play. But, again, it starts with the walks. We talked about it. You keep walking, guys. Sooner or later it's going to catch up to you, and it has with Guthrie already.
Here's Alberto Gonzalez. Takes a big swing and misses. Tejada robbed him of a hit first time. This young man might be the best pure infielder on the team.
Yeah.
And that's saying something with Ryan Zimmerman on this club. But he has a superior throwing arm and great hands. And frankly, I'm surprised the Nationals haven't used him more this year in late game defensive situations. Jim Riggleman said yesterday he wanted to get him some action, some at-bats this weekend, and he gets the starting nod today with Desmond struggling at short.
Well, and it's a tough numbers game right now. It's a really tough. You put a rookie at short to start the season. You move Christian Guzman, your former shortstop, to second, and so he's just been kind of numbered out of the way.
Gonzalez down on strikes. Big inning for the Nationals. The walk, the triple by Willingham. Bernardino goes the other way. 3-0 Nationals.
Working on a 3-0 shutout here in Baltimore as we move to the middle of the 4th inning. Now, Luis is from Puerto Rico. There's such a passion for baseball there. He told me he was thrilled when Edwin Rodriguez was named interim manager of the Florida Marlins. He first met him when he was a scout. And Nats catcher Pudge Rodriguez, also from Puerto Rico, said this is really good for Puerto Rico to have its first big league manager. He said there are so many minor league coaches, and hopefully this will open some doors for them at the big league level as well. Bob?
Well put, Debbie. Opening doors at all levels, not just on the playing field. That's Debbie Taylor with our AFCIA Sideline Report. We invite you to visit AFCIA.org, the association for IT pros. The umpire was waiting for the hitter to be announced, and Corey Patterson finally was. Bottom of the 4th rolls around. Patterson, Tejada, and Markakis. Luis Adelano, 40 pitches, 24 strikes in his first 3 innings.
I didn't realize until I actually read it the other day that Rodriguez, was the first Puerto Rican manager. I just assumed that there were others. I played in Puerto Rico in '86. I played for the San Juan Metros. Played for Maco Alavera.
You were there a year before me. That was on the Caguas Criollos. Then I was on the Ponce Leons, and then Arecibo the 3rd time I went back there. But wonderful place to play in the winter. Winter leagues help you get to the major leagues and give you confidence, that's for sure.
I only played 1 year in Puerto Rico. I played in Cartagena, Colombia, and South America 2 years previous to that, and then played 3 years in the Dominican. That was the best fun. I always talk about the most fun I ever had playing baseball was playing winter ball.
I would agree. And make lifelong friends, too.
That was great. every game was a happening. It was people dancing in the stands and on the dugouts and playoff. It was like opening day and playoff atmosphere every game. It was amazing.
Adelano throws it down the middle. Count goes full 3-2.
Well, and that's when I was coming into my own, and they bet on balls and strikes. And I made a lot of friends. I made the all-star team down there. I threw a lot of strikes. I was working on stuff, and you could hear them cheer when you'd win them some money. And you became a quick friend of theirs. But no, yeah, I got to throw it up Benito Santiago. Robbie Alomar was my second baseman. Ron Gant was a third baseman. I had Bernie Williams in the outfield, Ricky Leday in the outfield. I mean, just some guys that you watched as you were coming up young, guys coming up with you.
Yeah, Benito. I had Benito. He must have changed teams because I had Benito in San Juan in '86. So those guys will move around a little bit. But he was my catcher there, and I played against him. He was in Las Vegas, I think, that year, '86. Before I went.
I think he came there because we got Sandy Alomar Sr.
Okay.
And I think he brought him with him. Yeah, those guys sometimes move around too, because I remember when I went down to Ponce, that's where Sandy Alomar Sr. was managing then. And that was about 6 years later when I was injured.
Corey Patterson's ball not hit that hard. Easy grab for Michael Morse. Tejada and Markakis, and that's 10 in a row for Adelano to start the game.
I think it's interesting. You got Morse, who's kind of penciled in as our first baseman, corner outfield guy that was brought up as a shortstop with Seattle. Adam Jones, your Gold Glove center fielder, brought up as a shortstop with Seattle, playing in the game today.
By the way, did you see they got Russell Branyan back?
Oh, they did.
They got him back from Cleveland.
They needed some pop in the middle of that lineup. No run scoring ability there at all.
14 games out they are because of Texas and how well they've been playing lately. The Rangers are 16 games over 500. Miguel Tejada pulled the ball first time, flied out to Willingham and left.
Well, Rob, you talked about Jones and Morris being in different positions at the big league level than they were.
Oh, you never know where you're going to play,
right? John Stockstill, he took over at the end of spring training from his brother. They switched roles here. Director of scouting, international scouting, is now David Stockstill, and John Stockstill is the director of minor leagues. And what he's talked about recently is having guys in the minor leagues move around a little bit more and not be keyholed into one position. So when they get up here, they're ready to play a different position. It's not something totally new to them.
Now, what kind of player do they do that with? Do they do that with a star player or a guy that they don't think maybe plays on that level?
Yeah, I'm not so sure they're taking every guy and making them play multi-positions, but they are doing it with quite a few guys.
That ball slicing. It's into the corner, a fair ball. This could be interesting. Great arm. And Tejada is out at second base. Roger Bernardina doing it all today. I thought the Orioles saw enough of his arm in the first two games that they might not try that, but Tejada, he was out by a big margin here.
We've seen him do this a couple of times this year. He's got a very strong arm and great form. Jim Palmer talked about it yesterday, and he guns out the older player, Tejada, so a guy who's got a great arm at shortstop, now at third base. A little tit for tat there by Bernardina, the youngster.
And the ball's down the line. I think anytime a ball's hit down the line like that, you feel you're going to get a double. And Tejada, it's a bang-bang play. And actually, Gonzalez made a nice play by scooping that ball. It was a little bit of an in-betweener, not a totally difficult play, but he has to come up with it. And it still has to be a perfect throw on line, which Bernardina put it right in the bag.
I have no problem with forcing the issue. Put pressure on the defense, make him make a bad throw, maybe gets by, and then he's all the way over at third. So, great hustle by Tejada. Great job gunning him down. So that's some good baseball stuff.
Nick Markakis had a lot more than 3 home runs this year. That play would hurt the Orioles. But he hasn't hit the ball out of the ballpark much. But you do have your 3 and 4 hitters coming up. So 2 outs, bases empty. Nick hit the ball hard. Lined out to Nigel Morgan first time up.
Well, they got to figure out how to get him to hit righties better. I mean, he's hitting 380 off lefties and 270 off righties.
That ball had some carry to it. Willingham gathers it in. 1 hit through 4. Adelano faces the minimum 12 hitters thanks to his right fielder and his shortstop. game of 2010 Battle of the Beltways. Don't hit the ball to third because Tejada's over there. So's Ryan Zimmerman. Why don't you try the opposite field? That's what Bernardina did. He drove in two, later threw out a runner at second base. And with Roger Bernardina leading the way, the Nationals, after Ford, lead it 3-0. Wilmy Avis, Niger Morgan, Adam Kennedy, top 5 for Washington. Good day to be in the shade. Wilmy Avis hitting under 180 now. Bounced back to the pitcher first time up. But Rodriguez off the DL, so Will's playing time seriously curtailed over the last 3 weeks. Guthrie, 3 runs on just 2 hits, but 4 walks. One of those scored.
Jeremy needs to come out, throw strikes to the number 9 hitter, put him away.
Ball deflects off the pitcher's glove. Lugo. It'll be a 1-6-3 for the first out. June's a great month to take a look at the Nationals' future down in Potomac. Single A ball with the Potomac Nationals. Thursdays, dollar drink specials. Saturdays, fireworks show after every game and a chance for kids to run the bases after every weekend game. 703-590-2311, PotomacNationals.com. Niger Morgan, a strikeout and a walk. He'll drive that ball to center. Adam Jones right there. 2 quick outs. Morgan 0 for 2 today, but still 5 for 10 in the series. Corey Patterson has scored 2 runs in this 3-game set. Morgan has scored 3. That'll bring up Adam Kennedy, 0 for 5 in the series. And he was inserted into the lineup at about 11:15 this morning, when Kristen Guzman came out of the manager's office with head trainer Lee Kuntz, citing a stiff neck, and Kennedy straight up put into the number 2 spot.
And Jeremy gets the quick 2 outs. Falls behind Kennedy, and this is, again, I talked about how he's got to come out, throw the ball over the plate. Kennedy's, again, another guy. Now, I talked about Bernardino not being a guy that hits home runs, and then he hits the ball the other way out of there. And I know that happens sometimes, but you got to go with the percentages. Like
he's got home run potential.
He can hit the ball out.
Got home run
and they all can do that,
right?
Of course, but, again, you got to go with the percentages. Throw the ball over the plate. The last thing you want to do is get behind him, and Guthrie had an opportunity to have a real quick inning, and he falls behind Kennedy 3-0.
And also know where you are in the lineup and who's on deck here. He throws a strike on the outer half with the big, strong number 3 hitter waiting.
Well, that's a great point, Bob. Take your chances on Kennedy. What does he have? About 60 career home runs, and then you don't want to face him.
And if he gets a hit, you tip your cap, but he was behind 3-0 initially. And the Nationals have their third base hit. That'll get Ryan Zimmerman to the plate. And with every at-bat, Zimmerman is that much closer to his next RBI. He's really been struggling. And when he can bust out of it, it'll be something to see, because he's as explosive as any hitter in the National League.
But it hasn't hurt him on defense. He's been stellar as always on defense. And they scored 11 runs in the last 2 games. They should have won both of those ball games. So it hasn't been the lack of his hitting these losses the last 2 games.
As crazy as it sounds, I'd much rather face a guy who's been on a hot streak than a guy who's in a cold streak, especially if he's a pretty good player. He's due. He's due. I'll get a guy who's 8 for 12. I'm like, well, he's due to make some outs. I'm going right after that guy. But when a guy is, 1 for 25 with runners in scoring position, or a guy who's as good an accomplished hitter as Zimmerman has been in his major league career, I don't want to face him when he's going through a cold streak.
That's a high strike given by Cheetah. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Would you say David Wells was ever overpowering in his career?
No,
but he was one of the greatest strike throwers I think I've seen in the last 30 years. Great mechanics. I don't care what his body may have looked like to you on TV or in person, but that guy could duplicate over and over and over, and the key, throwing strikes.
Zimmerman in the air to right. Nick Markakis using the glasses. High sky on this sunny, hot day. Nats have left 3 halfway through the ball game. It's 3-0 Washington.
Highlights from today's ball game with a guy on first base. Josh Willingham hits a shot over the diving head of Adam Jones, and then Roger Bernardina follows it up with a 2-run shot to left field. So the Geico game highlights right now. Look at the starting pitchers, and there's their numbers.
Luis Adelano, 56 pitches, 33 strikes through his 4. And Jeremy Guthrie's now up to 85 pitches, 49 strikes through 5. Orioles have their guns up here in the 5th. Wigginton, Scott, and Jones, 4, 5, and 6.
And Guthrie's a guy that'll throw a lot of pitches. Again, even in this stretch now, last 4 or 5 games, he's been walking more guys than he had the first half of the season, or the first 2 months or so. And it's come back to hurt him, of course. And when it's hot out here like this, I don't know how you felt, Rob, but I was a starting pitcher most of my career. I didn't really feel the heat. I mean, it was hot, but I'm playing the game.
Yep.
1 pitch, Zimmerman. 1 out.
And if you're winning, you probably didn't feel the heat at all.
Yeah,
you wanted to be out there because you had the lead.
Exactly. Well, you're sweating and you're wiping off, and you go in, you put the wet towel with the ammonia all over it, and you cool off, and you want to be back out there. It's uncomfortable a little bit, but when you're actually focusing on the pitch, focusing on throwing the pitch, getting the ball back, what's my next pitch, thinking 2 or 3 pitches ahead, who's up, what's the situation, how many outs there are, different things. You don't have time to think about how hot it is. After the game's over, you might be just wasted. But during the game, you're just playing baseball, and as a kid, you didn't worry about it when it was 95 degrees out and you were playing on the tot lot. The last thing you're going to do is worry about it when you have a chance to play Major League Baseball.
Well, and your players will play better defense behind you, especially on a day like tonight. If you work ahead. They are hot. They're out there, and they're standing. They don't want to be standing there any much longer because they play every day.
And it is more uncomfortable for them because they're just standing around.
1-1 to Luke Scott, who struck out in the pitch in the dirt first time. Luke in this series, 2 for 11. Adam Jones is 2 for 10. He's next. Adelano from the very first base tip of that pitching rubber. Ball slapped well the other way. Willingham can't get it. And the Orioles will have their first extra base hit of the day as Luke Scott takes one beautifully the other way. It's time to fire up the smartphone. AT&T Mobility Trivia. Who hit the most career inside the park home runs? Wow. Now, if that's Babe Ruth, that would really be something.
I'm going to say...
I'll say Willie Mays.
I got to go Willie Mays. Yeah. Is that too obvious, though? Mays?
Usually.
I mean...
Oh, come on.
Babe Ruth.
No way.
Did they have...
Well, that's when they didn't have fences.
No
the ball
fences
used to run through the neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Come on.
It'd be like underneath of a car and down the drain. No wonder he could get a...
You mean he only hit 704 out of the ballpark? There's a hanging pitch, and the Orioles are on the scoreboard. Back-to-back doubles. It seems like a death wish to take the lead in this series. And the Nationals going to have to fight off this Orioles offense again. Adam Jones with his 33rd RBI. And an 8-game hitting streak with this swing. That's a badly located breaking ball.
Well, this is the second time through the order for the meat of the lineup here, and now getting down towards the bottom and leaving 2 pitches up. Luke Scott went outside and got one to hit it to left, and then another one up and in the face of Adam Jones. So got to get the ball down, maybe get back to that changeup and try to get you just an out.
Well, from the Orioles standpoint, again, having Luke Scott go the other way is good. He has a tendency to want to pull the ball, especially if he's going through a rough stretch. So for him to drive the ball down the left field line to get something going was good. And Adam Jones didn't miss the mistake that he got, and that's the key. You only get a couple mistakes out there that you can hit, and he didn't miss it.
He goes up swinging. That's a base hit. 3 in a row. Adelano may want to throw on a foot off the plate inside just to keep somebody from doing that on the first pitch.
Yeah, but all 3 of those pitches were up, and he cannot live up. Look at the comebacks by the Orioles this year.
Here's the other thing about this graphic you're looking at. In this series, the Washington offense has not scored a single run after the 4th inning. So the Orioles bullpen has shut down the Nats in this series in the middle and latter parts of these games. And here comes Baltimore again. Number 8 hitter Scott Moore, who had the big pinch hit home run Friday night.
Well, Jim made this comment 2 days ago that if you throw 3 straight balls up in the zone, 3 straight pitches have been up in the zone, this pitch better be near the dirt, or I'm the manager of the pitching coach and I'm going to go out and I'm going to blast my pitcher. You have to make the adjustment. It's not just what you're throwing, it's where you're throwing the location.
And you're right. And sometimes what you do is you say, well, I'm trying to make this pitch. It's like, well, what you need to do is then overemphasize it. If you're not getting the ball down, bounce one. You got to do something you can get in a groove both ways. You can get in a groove throwing pitches in bad spots, or you can get in a groove throwing pitches where your arm slot is right and your finish is there and the timing's perfect. And if you're not in the good groove, you've got to do something to get yourself out of that bad groove, just to get you out of that. Throw a different pitch, throw the ball totally in a different location, something to get you out of that so you can start fresh again and try to find a good groove.
But pitching is so much more than just throwing your pitches and trying to throw them towards the plate. You know, have a clue up there. Like Bob said before, know who's coming up behind this next guy. Know what you can throw, know who you can challenge. Don't get beat with maybe your second or third best pitch against a weak hitter. You know, that's pitching, and it's about thinking.
A lot of communication on the Washington infield now. Nieves pointing to Morse, who was shouting something across the diamond to Ryan Zimmerman. A lot of possibilities here. First and third, only one out. Washington's at double play depth, protecting a 2-run lead. There's another base hit on the first pitch. Adelano keeps laying it in there, and the Orioles keep laying them into the outfield, and it's now a 3-2 game. And he might just be a couple of pitches from being taken out.
Well, and that pitch is supposed to be down and away on a sinker, and that hasn't been his best pitch all day. And so he reverts right back to one of his old things that hasn't been working, which is, I'm a sinker ball pitcher. I've been told I'm a sinker ball pitcher, and I'm going to go back to that because that's where my comfort level is.
And if he throws that ball away and gets it into that location, most likely Moore hits that ball on the end of the bat, gets a ground ball, gets one, maybe even a double play with Wieters running. But location is the key there. Sometimes it's not movement. Sometimes it's not the velocity. It's the location in which you throw that pitch. He clearly missed his spot by about 1.5 feet.
Still only one out. Runners at first and second. And Lugo suddenly behind quickly 0-2. Adelano, including one in this inning, only 3 ground ball outs the entire day.
Well, and just in watching him in the last 2 starts, maybe he's not a sinker ball pitcher. He was using 4-seam fastballs really well last time out, and today he had a really good changeup.
Really tries to go inside corner, just missing. Good pitch on 0-2. But I think Dave made a great point earlier. When the ball club starts hitting, you don't want to be the guy who ends the rally. Maybe that's why hitting's contagious. I think you're onto something here. We've always wondered about that. Why does everybody seem to hit around each other? Zimmerman, Kennedy taken out, and the ball goes into the dugout, and the game is tied. On a speedy runner, why did Adam Kennedy bother to throw that ball? And the Nationals defense bites them again.
Yeah, Scott Moore is a guy that does a nice job. He's only been up for a little bit, but he does plays the game hard. I've seen him go in. The times that he's been able to go into second base, he goes in hard, he goes in all the way over the bag and does whatever he can to make sure the guy can't get a good footing and make a good throw, and he got the job done there.
Adam Kennedy will be given his 8th error of the year because of the runner scoring and the hitter advancing to second base. Now representing Lugo, the lead run with Corey Patterson batting outside. And the Orioles have put 3 runs on the board to answer the Nats' 3-run fourth. The worst defensive team in baseball does it again. Left side could be playable for Zimmerman. Plenty of room, inning over. Orioles will get 3 runs, 2 of them earned, and it's a brand new ball game. Top of the 6th coming up. Has been a story of Washington taking early leads. In Friday night's case, 6-0. Guzman throws a double play ball away. Game over, bottom of the 9th. Yesterday, Nationals led 5-0 in the 4th inning. A wild pitch by Drew Storen, and game over. Orioles win it. Today, Adam Kennedy, a lot earlier, nowhere near first base. And the Orioles get an unearned run on that one. They've scored 3 in the 5th and tied the game 3-3. Here's Dunn, followed by Willingham and Bernadine at top of the 6th. 3-3-1 Nationals, 3-5-0 Orioles. Washington stranded 3 runners. Baltimore just 1.
I don't care what anybody says about the Orioles hitting or whatever, but they make adjustments and they have this series. First or second time through, our pitchers have done okay, but then the third or second time, they just blasted our pitching staff, and that's going in, thinking about how the guy just got you out, and then coming out and making the right adjustments, going the other way with the ball. They did it yesterday against Levon.
And the odd thing about this series, Washington's gotten the Baltimore starter out of the game the first 2 before they could see him 3 times around. And then the bullpen, led by Mark Hendrickson, has come in and did a fantastic job.
Well, Rob, you make a good point. You know, they come into question the Orioles' offense and their approach. And, of course, when you look...
There's another line drive by Adam Dunn, just foul.
You look at the Orioles' offense, and there's no question they've been terrible, and they've been terrible with runners in scoring position coming up in the last couple days. But Nick Markakis was a guy who's very quiet, never says anything, leader out on the field by what he does, but never opens his mouth. He called into question the approach of some of the guys. He said that some of the guys look like they have no idea what they're doing out there. They have no plan. And it looks like that maybe they've gone about individually and said, look, I need to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing out there? I need to look. That's what you just said. How did he get me out? If he throws me a good pitch on the first one, am I ready for it? Or do I take it and get myself behind? Or am I trying to be too aggressive and swinging at pitches that I should be taking on that first pitch? So it's an interesting situation, but they surely have done a better job of it the last 4 or 5 days.
Adam Dunn hit by a pitch for the 4th time this year.
Well, it's a big breaking ball that he tries to get down around his ankles, run inside on him. Just threw it a little bit too far in, and it ran and hit the back foot of him. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with pitching. You got to have the right approach. Every hitter's different. Every time through the lineup's going to be different. Sometimes you, as a pitcher, have to make adjustments. I mean, one thing that I've talked to Ken Griffey Jr. about, his dad got him.
That is a foul ball.
Was possibly changing his approach in an at-bat. So you're talking about the greatest player of the 90s, his dad, an excellent player in his playing career on many world championship teams, teaching his son, listen, son, When you get out there, you might be in the middle of a big league at bat. You might have to change your approach. Listen, you had a guy that's the Iron Man, played the most consecutive games all time. Cal Ripken Jr. used to change his stances in the middle of a ball game.
Well, there's no doubt. You've got to be able to adjust on the fly. You can't be robotic. You can't be in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. You have to be able to adjust. And if the pitcher's doing certain things to get you out, you can be hard-headed and try to think that, well, he's going to change. It's like, well, the pitcher's smart enough to know until you make an adjustment, I can get you out the same way. And sometimes when guys will come up there, maybe they do. It depends on the pitcher going in. You've got to have a scouting report. Hey, is this a guy that'll get you out one way the first time, but try to get you out a different way the second time, and then the third time you're not sure if he's going to go back to the first or the second time. So there's a lot of different things, people talk about this game. Like, you have to be able to think on your feet here.
Willingham called out on strikes. Leaning out with the pitch, but unable to pull the trigger.
And this is a big inning for Guthrie. We talked about him coming out in the fifth inning and be able to put up 0, and after he had a rough inning, and he was able to do that. And now you look at here, he does hit done, but he's got to be able to come back and get the Orioles into the dugout without having any damage here.
1-on-1 out. Roger Bernardina has walked and homered.
Oof, that's a pretty good pitch.
Here's our Ford drive of the game. Brought to you by your local Ford dealer who invites you to experience Ford like never before. Ford Drive One. 5 career homers, all of them on the road this year. First time he's gone opposite field. And that frisbee way inside moved him off the plate 2-0. Bernardina starting to develop some of the power that we thought was there. Rob and I have watched this guy all year. He's quite a specimen, big and strong. But he's never had enough at-bats where anybody could really get a read on his power. Broke his leg making a heroic play in center field early in the season last year and never really was able to come back. So this is a revelation, what we're watching this year. That high bouncer backs up the shortstop. I'm surprised they threw that one.
Throw the ball.
I think we've got some second basemen who need to pay attention to who's running today.
This is maybe one of the fastest guys in the National League. There's absolutely no reason on a 3-hopper, 2-hopper, slow ball like that to even make that second throw.
Yeah, once actually Lugo goes back on the ball to try to catch it, really Moore needs to understand I'm in first baseman mode. I need to make sure I just catch this ball. I can't worry about catching the ball and making a turn. I need to get one out for sure, and he should have made sure he's straddling there, just making sure he can go either way if it's a bad throw. But with the runner going, but you talk about Moore. I mean, I talked about he's not really a second baseman by trade. He's a guy that's out there. I talked about it a little bit on the radio to where it's unfortunate that he's a guy that's come up. He's had some injuries over the years. He comes to a new organization. He's trying to make his mark. And let's face it, they get evaluated on their offense,
right?
Probably more than anything.
And he'll try to take any opening he can get.
So he's getting a chance to try to concentrate on how to be an offensive player and prove he can hit at the big league level. Yet he's also out there defensively 9 innings trying to play a position that he's not real comfortable playing. And that's a tough situation for a guy.
Big, strong Michael Morse drives one in the air to right. It'll stay in the park, right in front of the 373 mark. Markakis has it. Middle of the 6th inning. Washington still hasn't scored after the 4th inning. Major League Baseball on Masson, brought to you by Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Celebrate the world we share. Well, it appears there's one thing that will not be shared this year, and that's the record between the American League and the National League. The National League, to draw even on the last day of interleague play, would have to go 13-1 today, or 14-0 to sweep it. American League 125, National League 113, after the AL went 10-4 yesterday. Bottom of the sixth inning, Miguel Tejada. They had a shot after a really good Friday. White Sox totally dominating, and the Texas Rangers using interleague play to take command of their division. White Sox, by the way, now tied with the Tigers, only a game and a half back of Minnesota. They've won 11 straight. We'll be happily sending them back to your league after their 3-game sweep at Nationals Park last weekend. 2-0 to Tejada.
Isn't it crazy how there's like no rhyme or reason for that to happen?
And the National League this year, Dave, has hit more home runs. They've, as a rule, been about 18 to 20 home runs ahead of the American League this year. So go figure that one. Tejada pops it up right side. Michael Morse using his glove as a shade. Fair ball. 1 out. With the Orioles winning yesterday, they've won 15 of 29. As we mentioned earlier, 20 of the 29 2-run deficits or less. Orioles 2 over at home. The Nationals 1 over at home. Almost as even as it could possibly be. And this is the 5th year of the Battle of the Beltways.
And I think when you look at those are numbers that I don't think would surprise anybody. Both of these clubs have been trying to get things going over the last 4 or 5 years. They've kind of been in similar situations, and total rebuild to trying to put a couple pieces in place to total rebuild again, and it just hasn't seemed to work out for either club.
And we've talked about this over the last few years. What will it take for this to become a fierce rivalry? I think for some of the fans it already is. But I remember in my days in St. Louis, the first year the Cardinals went to Kansas City, Johnny Damon got hit by a pitch. There was a brawl on the field, and it was, hello, we have a rivalry. Not to say that that's got to happen here, but certain unusual things have to happen for two teams to really get after each other. That's an easy fly ball to Willingham, 2 outs here in the 6th.
No, there's enough on the plates of both organizations and in the minds of the fans of just trying to win games in general, as opposed to specific games, the 6 a year that they play.
Well, and if you want to have a rivalry, you need to play each other more than 6 times. You got one team's got to put the other team out of the playoffs occasionally, late in the season. I know that in Cincinnati, we put the Padres out of the playoffs in '89, and they hated us after that. You know, the rest of the time I played in the National League. So the harder you play teams, the more you play teams, I think that's when you feel more disrespect. And I'm just even a home run. Guy walks down to first base, ticks you off. Like you said, you might powder keg touches off a brawl, and then you guys hate each other from that point on.
And that's hard to do when you play each other in the middle of the season.
Yes.
Well, as long as things are friendly in the booth with our Masson family, that'll take care of it.
Well, I tried to take Rob out a minute ago. He didn't. It didn't work so much for me.
Stop trying to push me out of the window.
Well, Palmer locked the door the other day when Rob went down the hall, so we did get him back in here. It's been great, though. We've really enjoyed getting together for the last 3 years. Mike Morse got all turned around, got the ball, and a good bounce-back inning for Luis Adelano. Here we go, 7th inning. Both starters have gone 6. brought to you by Ford. Your local Ford dealer invites you to experience Ford like never before. Ford, drive one.
Oh, yeah, it's 1,000 degrees. Let's go play some volleyball.
Yeah, that feels real good in the bottom of your feet. Wow. Jason Birkin takes over after Guthrie throws 100 pitches, 58 strikes in 6 innings. Quality start, so to speak, for him. He gave up only 3 runs on 3 hits. Birkin came in yesterday, 6th inning, after Mark Henriksen pitched 2 scoreless innings. And then Birkin got 4 outs with only an intentional walk to Adam Dunn, blemishing his perfect day.
Birkin's been just terrific this year. Guy struggled in the rotation last year. Just couldn't find it. Once it started going bad for him, he just wasn't able to turn it around. Went home during the offseason, cleared his mind, understood what he needs to do to come back and get big league hitters out. And from the first day of spring training, he's looked like totally a different guy. I've been trying to say, look, this guy's had a great year so far in the bullpen.
Leave him out the rest of the year, bring him in the rotation.
And I think he's a guy that should be a candidate for the rotation. I agree. Right. Look, to me, the hardest thing to find is good starting pitching. It's the most expensive to buy, and it's one. You're always one pitch away from hurting yourself. So to me, he's doing a great job this year. But I still think that they need to look at this guy possibly as a starter because he's just done a terrific job, and he's thrown 3 good quality pitches with his slider being very good all year. 24
starts, 120 innings last year. Well, at this level, after he made 7 in the minor leagues.
As a reliever, you come in, you have to throw strikes right now. There's no question. You have to be aggressive in the strike zone. And with Phil Hughes, it worked for him up in New York. That's the way it used to be done in the old days, where you cut your teeth in the bullpen first before they gave you a shot at the rotation.
Throw well off the line. The tag by Wigginton, 1 out. On a broken bat, out to Lugo. Celebrate your 4th of July weekend in Nationals Park. Saturday the 3rd against the Mets. First 20,000 fans receive a free replica patriotic cap presented by Masson HD. Show your red, white, and blue and your curly W next weekend.
Look at Adam Wainwright in St. Louis. They had him as a closer by the end of the season because of Isringhausen. And the next year he's a starter and he goes 200 innings. So it's a question of just learning how to pitch up here. I don't care if it's in the bullpen, you put a guy in the rotation. He's got to learn how to pitch if you rush him up to the major leagues.
No, it was interesting. A lot of people talk around here because of the situation with the pitching and lack of the quality pitching that's been in this organization for the last 8 to 10 years at the big league level. They just really haven't developed the guys that they used to develop. When you talk about Palmer and McNally and the guys that came through their system. So when you look at Birkin, he's a guy that figured it out, like you mentioned, Hughes. Came up as a starter, didn't work out, went to the pen, figured it out, and now he's one of the most dominant starters in all baseball right now. And they're trying to figure out, what's the best? Do you bring a guy up? Do you groom him as a starter in the minor leagues, and do you bring him up here and put him in a different role by putting him in the bullpen, or do you put him in the rotation? I guess the situation, I guess you can bring him up, put him in the rotation. If it doesn't work, you throw him in the bullpen, let them get their feet under him a little bit, understand what they need to do, and then put him back in the rotation the next season.
Well, Sandy Koufax, it took him 5-6 years to figure it out. Nolan Ryan was a reliever when he came up. You look at a lot of pitchers over the course of their career. You look at that 70s team. They had 2 24-game winners in the rotation, and Jim Palmer only won 20. And to say only 120, well, you had 3 guys that won 64 games between them in a 4-man rotation. That's pretty tight. Then they had another year, I think it was, 72?
71.
71. They had 4 guys that won 20 games in the rotation. So it's just a question of learning how to pitch, dealing with the fact that you're going to do it every 5th day up here. You even have that extra day of rest, and it almost seems like we're going backward with starting pitching.
But what I don't like is, and it's happened a little bit because you mentioned Hughes, you mentioned Wainwright, it seems like, though, when they take a guy out of the rotation and put him in the bullpen, then all of a sudden he's a bullpen guy. It's all of a sudden like there's no way they can bring him back again. It's like, that's not true.
That's not true. Pitching's pitching, wherever you go.
And what I found is when guys up here struggle, most people will automatically say, oh, well, he's a bullpen guy. It's like, because he's not pitching well, he's a bullpen guy. It's like, look, if you can get him out, you can get him out. And there are clearly some guys that only have the stuff to go maybe one time through the order. But if a guy can throw 3 quality pitches, he's a candidate for the rotation.
Another check swing by Willie Davis. That 71 World Series, by the way, one of the great lines ever. Going into the final game, Kurt Gowdy said, poor Earl Weaver. He's down to his last 20-game winner.
That's excellent.
Unbelievable stuff.
Palmer, McNally, Dobson, and Cuellar.
You'll never see anything like that
unbelievable.
Again. 2-2 to Wilmy Avis. Popped up right side of the infield.
Well, and I was very sad that a lot of those guys are no longer with us from that 70 team. A lot of the 70 Orioles have already passed on, and that's what I remember from yesterday's ceremony.
Yeah, and 3 of the 20-game winners. When you talk about Dobson a few years back, I got a chance to spend some time with him. Just an unbelievably funny guy. Just really, really funny, and just a character. One of the characters of the game. We get fantasy camp every year. We used to see him down in Sarasota. And McNally, of course. I used to emulate Dave McNally when I was a kid growing up in Baltimore. When I was 10, 11 years old, when they were winning all those games, 69, 70, 71. I loved the way Dave McNally threw. Now, he was left-handed, I'm right. But I just loved
the way his
style.
I
just liked the way he held his glove and the way he kind of humped over a little bit. He was just so smooth. So we lost McNally a couple years back, and then Cuellar just here recently. So unfortunately, 3 of the 4 are gone. But what a great tribute yesterday, seeing all those guys out there on the field.
And they weren't that short on opinions about the state of the current Orioles, were they?
No.
I think those guys have the right to say those things.
Yes, yeah.
Because they've got a lot of pride in putting on this uniform here. 1-1 strike to Nigel Morgan, who showed bunt on a pitch that was right on his belt buckle first time up. He's 0 for 2 with a walk today, 5 for 10 in the series. Morgan drives one to left center. That ball is going a long way out there, and it's run down by Corey Patterson. That brings the 7th inning stretch around here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Washington continues its middle-of-the-game offensive futility. Again, in this series, they have not scored a run beyond the 4th inning. 3-3 game, and God bless America here at the ballpark.
Michael Freeze and singing God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
You're a sprinkler. Nice job, buddy.
I would love to be that guy right now.
Our copyright and telecast, we can arrange it. Presented by authority of the Nationals and Orioles, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form of the accounts and descriptions of this game. May not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Nationals and Orioles. Sun-drenched, sweaty crowd here on a Sunday afternoon in late June. 94 game time. I'm sure down on the field it's 100 plus. And Luis Adelano goes out for the 7th inning. In his young major league career, he's gone 7 innings once. That was in a 5-1 loss June 5th at home against Cincinnati. Only 2 earned runs given up today because of that Adam Kennedy throwing error on the would-be double play ball. It's Luke Scott, Adam Jones, and Matt Wieters for the Orioles, bottom 7. '82nd pitch of the day. He's thrown 49 strikes.
Well, and like Guthrie, after a big inning by the Orioles, came back and threw a 0 up there.
Yeah, kind of like an old-time outing by a pitcher today for Adelano, because even when he's been in trouble, he's been around the plate and things have happened quickly one way or the other. He's only given up 1 hit other than the 5th inning. To his left, Kennedy recovers. Ball stayed close enough to him. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 7th.
You know, what do you got to like about Adelano is that he's throwing strikes. I mean, maybe he's been over the middle of the plate sometimes. Maybe he's gotten hurt by a ball down the middle or up in the zone. But he didn't go the other way and start trying to be too fine and putting guys on base. So he hasn't hurt himself by putting guys on with the walks.
And the numbers tell that story, Dave, because he's going to pitch probably 2 innings further than his opponent, Jeremy Guthrie, did by doing what you just mentioned. And right now, he's thrown about 12.5 fewer pitches.
Well, it's efficiency. You know, somebody that, okay, if you don't like the guys that pitched in the 60s and 70s, maybe the guys that pitched in the 80s and 90s, like a Maddox, and into the 2000s, averaged 77 pitches to start for his career. You know, he's going to the Hall of Fame with 355 wins. So, you know, don't take our word for it. You know, look at the way that guy was. And I came up with him. We played together in the minor leagues for years. He was a thrower. He tried to throw everything by. He threw in the mid-90s down in the minor leagues. And he got with guys like Sutcliffe and Jody Davis, the catcher over there in Chicago. And they taught this kid that, listen, you could be more efficient and win just the same.
Hard hit up the middle, Kennedy. That's where the Nats had Adam Jones played. 2 quick outs. And it'll be Wieters with the bases empty now.
Well, I think sometimes, once guys get to the big leagues, it does become only about success, as opposed to sometimes in the minor league, you're trying to get recognition, you're trying to get your own organization to recognize you, to think enough of you, and typically that doesn't happen unless you're a 90s-plus guy, a 92, 93, 94 guy. Sometimes the organization, well, you know, this guy throws 87 to 90, we'll put him in the pen, and he's always the second or third guy we go to if we need somebody, and when it really should be about, can the guy pitch or not? And if he can, you move him to the next level and see if he can do it there. And if he can, you move him to the next level. It's just not the way a lot of organizations operate. Most will always go with the prospect status. How hard does he throw? What kind of stuff does he have? His ceiling is so high. It's like, I just need to know whether the guy can do the job at this level, and then we'll give him a chance at the next level, regardless of his stuff or velocity, because if he's getting it done, he's getting it done.
Well, 2 future Hall of Famers in waiting, 2 closers, Trevor Hoffman, 1 pitch pretty much other than strikes, big changeups. Mariano Rivera, maybe one of the greatest postseason relievers ever, basically with a cut fastball, you know, and doing it with 1 pitch. But the bottom line is, Dave and Bob, you know, throwing strikes, working ahead, you know, putting the pressure on the hitter is what pitching's all about. And like you said, you know, you look at the stats, 0-2 stats. Guys are hitting like 100. You look at a guy hitting when he's hitting 2-0, he hits 400, 500. I'd rather take my chances on trying to get the guy 0-2.
2-2 to Wieters after the count was 2-0. Adelano gets a fly ball to left. It's carrying today, but not far enough. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Dave, great to work with you for the first time.
Great to work with you, Bob.
All right, top of the 8th, Jim Hunter on the way back. I'll see you tomorrow, Double. 3-3, Nats and the Orioles.
Looking for a sweep. The Nationals trying to get one in this series. And welcome back, Jim Hunter with Rob Dibble and Dave Johnson. And I did some adding up. While Bob was on, the Orioles scored 8 runs. While I've been on, the Nationals have scored 8 runs. And apparently Mike Rizzo and Andy McPhail are negotiating some kind of an announcer swap.
Swap for you two guys. It's been hard fought, 3 games. And that's the way I think, both managers, I'm sure Jim Riggleman would love to have 2 more wins than the last couple of days. But at least the teams are fighting hard. The Orioles are definitely going in the right direction by winning a couple of ball games, but I'm pretty impressed by the Orioles making the adjustments. I mean, that's the key to baseball and winning ball games. Going the other way, getting to the guy the second or third time through the order. The only guy they've really had trouble with is Adelano, and that's surprising to me. As we've said, he's only gone 6 innings 4 times out of 12 starts this year.
Yeah, we've enjoyed our Masson families coming together. It's one of the highlights of the year, really is. And now we got Dave Johnson in the mix. I mean, where are we going from here?
I don't know what your standards are like, but obviously, something happened. My name got mixed up with somebody else's. I don't know. That's okay. It's all good.
It was an email malfunction, but we're working on it. It's good to have Dave with us today.
Absolutely.
Along with Bob and Rob and Will Ullman, who has joined the mix. So Birkin goes an inning. He's been pitching quite a bit. Picked up the win yesterday. And here's the 0-1 pitch as Adam Kennedy will lead off for the Nats. Zimmerman and Dunn follow in this tie game.
Well, and I'm sure I speak for Dave and Jim when we say that we're sorry we step all over you and Bob, Jim. You guys love doing play-by-play, and it's kind of hard with a 3-man booth.
Wait, I'm trying to get my reps in, and Divs has got to get his in. And I'm sorry, there's just no room for you guys.
Well, that's quite all right. After all, you two are the experts.
We only get to do this every now and then when we're together, so we're just going to take advantage of it if you don't like that. I think I have an email that you can send to somebody. Take advantage of that.
Hey, I'm fine with it. I have no trouble. As their ball hits slowly past the mound, and it squirts on through for a base hit. Hit the back of the mound and dribbled on through for a leadoff single in this 8th inning. Well, time for you to text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. Adam Jones has an RBI double to extend his hitting streak. How about Scott Moore? What a sweet swing he has all of a sudden. Also another good takeout at second base. And Roger Bernardina, yes, the power-hitting Roger Bernardina, who went the opposite way for a 2-run shot. A, B, or C to 51862 for the AT&T Player of the Game.
And don't forget, gunning out to Hot at second base, showing off the arm. So that's something that moving to center field or right field you don't see every day.
Ryan Zimmerman now. Bowman deals inside.
Well, you see that Juan Samuel decided to go with the matchup situation. You had Kennedy leading off, and then right after Zimmerman, you got Dunn. Going with the lefty-lefty, the thing is that drives me crazy when you got a guy like Birkin who's been so good this year and just throwing strikes that I would ride that horse until I can't ride it anymore. But it's the 8th inning and it's time to match up, and this is what you see with most late Major League managers.
And that ball's ripped to center field. That's a base hit. So Will Ullman has come on in this tie game, and immediately 2 men on with none down. Today's Maryland Lottery Hit It Here fan of the game is Tamika Brown from Silver Spring. If an Orioles player hits the Hit It Here sign located in the bullpen area, Tamika Brown wins $100,000. To find out more about how you can become the fan of the game, visit mdlottery.com. Hit It Here.
So do I get to stand at second with a fungo and swing for the Hit It Here sign? Because
that's a bomb.
I don't know if I've seen one that far in the major leagues, even in the last few years. That is a hope.
The weather is right. There's no question. The weather is right. The ball will carry. Well, the ball will carry. We know that when it's hot and humid at Camden Yards, but that is still a bomb.
So a tough spot for Ullman and the Birds in this tie game. Here's the cleanup hitter, Adam Dunn. Shift is on, and a good breaking ball he swings through.
Well, clearly, if there was anybody else up, then they would probably be bunting here. But with Dunn, I guess the Orioles are fortunate enough to where they have an opportunity if they can get a ball on the ground and try to get a double play and put it in a situation with man on third and 2 outs to be able to get out of this inning.
And that catches the inside corner. So quickly 0-2. Dunn has not yet put the ball in play, and it's his 4th plate appearance. He walked in the 2nd. He struck out. He was called out in the 4th, and then was hit by a pitch in the 6th. And the way he has hit the Orioles, that's actually a victory for the Orioles pitchers.
Well, I like to see that double play try because Lugo's on the second base side of second. So if he has to take, say, a throw from Moore, I'd love to see him try to turn that double play.
No, it's a tough play.
It is a tough play with the shift on it. Now he goes back to the shortstop side.
1-2 on Adam Dunn.
I just love how Lugo and Tejada are kind of waving at each other and screaming at each other.
Popped up foul and just to our left. Well, this is why this type of an overshift can work against you with men on base, because
absolutely.
Miguel has to stay there, because if he doesn't, Kennedy's going to steal third.
Well, it just creates that huge opening at shortstop, and if Adams able to just get a base hit, it's a go-ahead run for your ball club. So if he can hit it in the hole at shortstop, that's a win situation for the Nationals.
Now holding 1-2 on Dunn. Outside. That's the breaking ball that Ullman tries to get hitters to chase, but unfortunately several times this year it's been that kind of pitch where once it left the hand it was a ball and the hitters aren't enticed to go after it.
But the first two pitches he threw with the breaking ball were perfect because he threw them right at Adam Dunn and they broke right in on the plate. Adam had no shot, but when you start it in the middle of the plate, it's going to go 2 feet off the plate. No one's going to chase that.
2-2. He got him. So Adam Dunn down on strikes. That is a huge out for Will Ullman, and one away in the 8th.
Yeah, I think he threw him enough breaking balls in that at bat that Adam was just basically saying he's going to throw me a breaking ball. I want to make sure I can cover the outside part and put this ball in play, and he was able to get the fastball by him.
Well, and Lon Samuel's going to come out and switch pitchers again to get the righty-righty matchup with Willingham coming up.
Will Ullman leaves. He gets 1 out, 2 on. And David Hernandez will come on as Josh Willingham is coming to the plate. 3-3 game, 2 on, 1 out. Hernandez coming on in the 8th. Coming up on Saturday, July 17th, the first 25,000 fans 21 and over receive a Brooks Robinson replica jersey presented by Real Street Staffing. Don't miss your chance to honor a Birdland legend and dress like a hero. For your tickets, 888-848-BIRD or online at Orioles.com. It's so good to see Brooks here yesterday, looking very festive and happy with his teammates. David Hernandez comes on in the 8th.
Hernandez has done a nice job since he's been to the bullpen. What he needs to fight is flying open a little bit. He gets that front side of his head going to the left, leaves the ball up. Ball right up and in on the right-handers and up and away from the lefties. So he needs to stay closed a little bit longer and get that ball down in the zone because he can be overpowering with that 95-96.
Fastball at Willingham. He goes after it and comes up short. 0-1.
He's been up 97-98 at times in the bullpen, just coming in there for an inning. So this is a guy that they can clearly come in and get a big strikeout if you need one. A double play or a strikeout will work right now.
And wasn't he supposed to be a future starter also?
And was a starter this year.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's got the more of the fastball. Birkin's a guy that'll throw it 93, 94, but he's got to come in with 3 pitches. David struggled with the secondary pitches, so he's a guy that can come in there with 1 pitch at 94 to 98 mile an hour. If he can keep the ball down, then he rides that fastball up, and guys will chase it.
Here's the 0-2. He got him 3 consecutive fastballs, and Willingham down on strikes. And another big out and 2 men down.
He just flat out blew him away. You see the 0-2 pitch, high cheese, hard to lay off, 96 miles an hour chest high. Hitter's got no chance.
The Orioles actually, Rob, had an interesting dynamic in spring training because with the injuries last year to the staff and Kevin Millwood coming over in a trade, there were 7 starters for 5 spots. And the Orioles were trying to figure out, okay, well, how's that number 5 spot going to work out? Because Kevin Millwood, as soon as he showed up, he became the number 1, and it was between Hernandez, Birkin, and Chris Tillman. Well, Birkin made the team in the bullpen. Hernandez was the number 5 starter, and Tillman started in AAA. And now both Hernandez and Birkin are in the bullpen, and as Dave mentions, they're both thriving out there.
5 straight fastballs, 5 swings and misses, not even close. And, 2 leadoff singles, and now you might follow it up with 3 straight strikeouts.
Hernandez well rested. He hasn't pitched since Thursday night. 0-2 on Roger Bernardina. 2 on and 2 out. Called strike 3, and there's your rally. Hernandez comes on. Willingham on 3 pitches. Bernardina on 3 pitches. And the Nationals strand 2. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th at Camden Yards. Good game in the Battle of the Beltways. Hernandez comes on. He inherits 2 base runners with 1 down following Ullman's strikeout of Adam Dunn, and he went right to work. 3 pitches Willingham gone, 3 pitches Bernardina gone, end of inning, end of rally. And now the Orioles come up in the 8th. Here's Tyler Clippard.
Well, Clippard coming into today after the other night, he's got to do something a little bit different and maybe start a few more guys out with a strike, maybe of the fastball kind instead of trying to pitch behind with a changeup. So he got lit up the other day, and one of the reasons that this series has turned in the direction of 2 straight losses and now a tie game, and they need him to just hold it out there for a couple innings maybe and give him a chance to win.
Well, Scott Moore will lead off for the Orioles, and here's what happened Friday night when these 2 got together. A 2-run home run. The Nats had a 3-run lead, and all of a sudden with none down, it was a 1-run game, and the Orioles eventually would come back and win that game 7-6.
Clippard struggled. He went 3-0 on Scott. He took the 3-0 pitch for a strike and threw the exact same pitch 3-1, and Scott gave it a ride. So that's what you need to do as a hitter, and that's obviously what you don't want to do as a pitcher.
Well, he starts him off with a high changeup. Don't want to keep throwing that changeup up in that area.
Scott is 1 out of 2 on the day with an RBI. Here's a ball hit softly towards the middle, fielded there by Gonzalez, turns and throws high, but keeping the foot on the base, Michael Morris for the out.
Great play by Gonzo. As Bob said earlier, he's one of our slickest fielders, utility guy. You couldn't have a better guy with a rifle for an arm. Also can play short, second, third. And that was just a base hit he stole away from Moore.
Yeah, that was a nice play. You guys did talk about him earlier, saying how smooth he is defensively. He just took his time after he made the catch and understood what he needs to do, set himself and throw that ball a little bit high, but clearly not a bad throw. And with a big, tall first baseman over there, it was an easy play.
Julio Lugo now, the number 9 batter, 0 for 2. Fastball inside, 1-0. Alfredo Simon beginning to get loose. Just in case the Orioles scratch out a run, he'd be ready for the save in the 9th inning. Lugo fouls it back, count even, 1-1.
Well, even if it's tied in the 9th inning, you still use your closer at home because he's not going to come on for a save after the 9th inning. So I do like it when managers will bring their closer in for the 9th inning.
And I agree in that situation all the time, although to me, we don't really have a closer. Because to me, David Hernandez and Alfredo Simon, to me, either one of those guys are the closers. And I know Simon's been named the closer, but Dave Hernandez just threw 2 batters as good as you can throw. This game could go extra innings. Could Simone come in and possibly be better than what Hernandez was? I don't know whether you
Absolutely
can.
Not.
So to me, I would send Hernandez back out there. But clearly, what you said, Rob, that's what teams do. And when they're at home, if I had a guy that was my closer.
There's a base hit heading towards the corner in left field. Julio Lugo will head to second base. And Lugo is in with a double, the go-ahead run in scoring position with 1 down.
If I had that closer guy, I would do that. But, boy, I'm going to try to squeak out another inning out of Hernandez if I could.
And, by the way, Hernandez is on the bench with his arm wrapped, so it isn't as if he's out of the game yet.
No, and even if you get the lead, why wouldn't you bring Hernandez back out there?
Don't ask me, because I think you know my answer.
Even when Randy Myers was our quote-unquote closer, the first year we had him, I had 7 saves. The second year I had 11 saves. I mean, it's a question of, listen, you just want to win the ball game. You don't always have to have a formula. It doesn't always work like, okay, he just got us out of that last inning. Give the guy a little bit of a carrot and send him back out there after a great job of shutting down the Nationals last inning.
So the possible go-ahead run at second with 1 down. Corey Patterson now. Clipper deals inside. Another off-speed pitch. And 1-0. Corey fouled out in the 5th inning, 0 for 3. He's had a very good homestand with 7 out of 20 coming into this game. Orioles are on a 9-game homestand. Today is game 6. Lugo has such a big jump that he slipped, and he is out at second base. Oh, my goodness.
Well, he had a huge jump, and all he needed to do was just keep running, and then he stopped halfway through, and then he was in no man's land. All he had to do was just keep running, and he had no chance of getting him. And the great play by Nieves to throw through and to get him out.
I have no idea what that guy could have been thinking.
Perfect throw by Will Nieves.
It was.
Well, he's done some things on the bases that, look, he comes up with a big double. There's no question that was a big hit right there. He's got 2 opportunities to score from second base. He doesn't need to steal third base.
Right.
And if you're going to go, then go. But to be in between, he's just done some things on the bases that really just
but with his
people
speed,
shake their heads at.
With his speed on a base hit, he walks home.
Right.
It's not even a question. So I don't know what he's doing. Center fielder's not going to throw him out. Maybe Bernardina, if it's a one-hopper to Bernardina. Willingham's not going to throw him out.
Well, all the outfielders are deep. They're trying to take an extra base.
No doubles. Yeah.
So instead of the go-ahead run on with 1 down, bases empty, 2 down. Corey Patterson fouls it back 2-2.
You would expect that from a young player, but Lugo's been around for a long time. He's a veteran guy. He knows how important that go-ahead run is. I mean, you could possibly sweep the Nationals with his run with 3 outs to get.
Juan Samuel does not look too pleased. 2-2 pitch. Foul back again just below us.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Rob. We're talking about a guy who's been in the big leagues for a long time. And in the short period of time that he's been with the Orioles organization, I've seen him do stuff that I just shake my head. It's like, how can that guy make those type of mental mistakes? Playing as long as he's played, and obviously must have played at a high level at some period of time because he's making a lot of money. I mean, the type of contract that he got from the Red Sox, $9 million a year for a multi-year contract, that you would think mentally he would be a better player. He's just made some bonehead plays out there.
Well, they've had some questionable signs. They let Orlando Cabrera, a very clutch player who's been great for the Reds this year, let him go after they won a world championship, and then they got Renteria, then they got Lugo, now you got Scudero in there, so they've been trying new shortstops out ever since. Wow, that's strike three right there.
Ooh, Tyler Clippard showing up, home plate umpire Tim Cheetah after he didn't get that call. Wow. Watch his arm.
Well, you know, he made a pretty good pitch right there.
Yeah.
You know, you want that pitch.
3-2 is pulled into right field. There's a base hit. That one heading towards the corner. Patterson heading towards second base. And now the base running mistake looming larger. That could have been a run.
Well, Tyler's got to shake that off. You know, umpires miss calls. They're human. But you got to shake it off. You got to make a pitch now. Now you have good contact guy, a deadly guy, especially if you throw him a fastball away. And, you know, got to be very careful with Tejada.
Yeah, I didn't think that he made a terrible pitch there because when you look at where it was. But, again, emotionally, he kind of got upset. It's a big pitch. It's a close ball game.
Taking him out.
Yeah, and he made a good pitch low and away.
Jim Riggleman on his way to the mound. So Riggleman out on the mound to have a discussion with Tyler Clippard. And the bullpen is going to get busy now behind him.
All right, he's leading him in, but he wanted to go out there and probably say what I just said. Hey, forget that. You got a right-handed hitter up here. You know, got burned. It looked like a 3-2 changeup that he threw to him up. Stayed in the ballpark.
So Doug Slayton beginning to get loose.
No, even to some extent, he may have said, look, this guy, Patterson, he can run. Don't worry about him.
I think, you know what they're questioning right now in the field? He signaled. It looked like he signaled the bullpen for a left-hander, but he was actually signaling Zimmerman to come over and move in.
And the third base umpire is confirming that Bob Davidson. That's the discussion over there.
Yeah, because when he walked off, he was trying to tell him, say, no, I was pointing the right.
And the truth of the matter is, if he was signaling, why would he be? There was no one getting loose yet. Slayton just did get up. He didn't get up until Riggleman was already on the mound. So Juan Samuel appears satisfied with the explanation of Tim Cheetah, who is the crew chief of this umpiring crew.
And if not, he'll just have to be satisfied anyway.
You'll take my explanation and like it.
So let's see if Tejada now can come through with this second chance to get a run. Patterson at second and 2 down. And it's high 1-0. Miguel has joined the sudden torrid hitters of the Orioles along with Adam Jones and Matt Wieters. Miguel is 1 for 3 in this game. He is 12 for 26 on the homestand with 6 RBIs. Outside ball 2.
And Tyler's got to compose himself here and get back to some solid mechanics. Stay over that front leg a little bit longer and stay in there. You can't run to first base before you throw the ball.
They're playing Tejada to hit it the opposite way in the outfield. A lot of room in left center. And a line drive center field base hit. Patterson will be sent. Here comes Patterson. Here comes the throw. He is safe at the plate. And the Orioles get the lead. Tejada comes through with 2 men down.
Well, you fall behind a deadly hitter like Tejada, you make him an even better hitter. And as I said before, almost every hitter in the big leagues, you get ahead 0-2, 0-1, they become defensive, and right there he was offensive, and all he needed was a single. So Tejada did what the Nationals couldn't do in the last half inning.
I think that's what you saw there, too. You saw a veteran guy, Tejada. He's been a hits machine his whole career, and he didn't try to pull the ball and hit a two-run homer. He said, the ball's up the middle, I'm just going to hit the ball back up the middle, and got the base hit.
Well, Tejada gets Lugo off the hook there for the base running blunder.
Markakis will be walked intentionally with a right-hander on deck. Jim Riggleman has seen Nick Markakis enough to understand overall he is the Orioles' best hitter, and no sense in allowing him to swing the bat with a big insurance run out there at second base. And there's ball 4, so down to first base with what becomes the first walk of this game by the Nationals pitching. An intentional walk puts 2 on with 2 out. Juan Samuel and Jeff Datz talking it over as Clippard now needs to get the final out to keep this a 1-run game going to the 9th.
Well, he's learning a valuable lesson right here for a young reliever, a young pitcher in the big leagues. You got to work ahead in pressure situations, because that's the thing with veteran guys, that they're just going to shorten up. Tejada, like you said, didn't try to hit a home run. He just tried to make that ball and hit it hard somewhere.
Wigginton breaking balls high. So Clippard had a tough night on Friday, and he's having a tough night or afternoon here today because of the base hits by Lugo, then Patterson, and Wigginton pops it up. The second baseman Adam Kennedy has it for the out, and the inning ends. The Orioles get a run, strand 2. So here we go, 9th inning coming up. Miguel Tejada with a clutch base hit. 2 men down, gets in Patterson, and the Orioles have a 1-run lead. League Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. Here in the water taxi in the Inner Harbor on this Sunday afternoon, and Tyler Clippard coming off the mound, furious with himself. He allowed the Orioles back in the game the other night, and today allows them to get the lead.
Well, you feel terrible. I mean, that's the one thing about coming in as a reliever. You come in after somebody else and you give up their runs, or whether you come up and give up your own runs, and you potentially lose a ball game, or you put your club in a position to lose a game that they fought hard, they've played well, they've pitched well, and you feel terrible. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It doesn't do you any good to slam something down and break your hand, because then you're no good to the club either. But it is very frustrating, and sometimes, if nothing else, it's nice to see guys do something to where you know they care. You're frustrated and they care that they're not performing well or not performing well enough to help their club.
Defensive changes for the Orioles. Scott Moore moves from second to first. Julio Lugo moves from shortstop to second base, and there is Cesar Izturis, who is now in at shortstop. So Izturis in, Lugo moves over, Moore moves over, and here is Simone coming on for the save.
And Samuel's he's banking on Simone coming in and having good stuff a couple days in a row and being able to throw strikes and get that splitter over. His splitter was just unhittable his last time out, and Dave Hernandez did such a great job getting the strikeouts and coming in and getting out of a big situation. You hope Simone can do the same thing here in the ninth.
Michael Morse pops it up foul. That is heading back towards the stands and will be out of play. Let's get an update here on the voting for the AT&T Player of the Game. And Roger Bernardina, how about that? 66%. The Nats fans are being heard. Moore and Jones, the other candidates today. Still time to vote A, B, or C. 51862, and the results coming up. Tom and Rick will have it for you on those extra postgame. And 1-1 the count. Good pitch there, swung through 1-2. To give you an idea of how unusual an occurrence this series is, if the Orioles hold on and win here, a 4-3 victory, a one-run victory, all three of these games will have been decided by one run. You have to go back 5 weeks in the Orioles season. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He got him. The one away in the ninth inning. The last time the Orioles played 3 consecutive one-run games, in that case, they lost 2 of the 3.
Simone is he's come in. The first pitch he threw high, but he made adjustments. You can't throw a better pitch than that. 1-2, 97 on the black, low and away. If he hits it,
movement.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything with it. So Simone has got himself in a little bit of a groove, and the Orioles are fortunate right now. They have 2 guys at the back end of their bullpen that can pitch the 8th or the 9th inning, and they can mix and match those guys or go double them up if they need to, because both of those guys can actually pitch multiple innings in Hernandez and Simone. They've just been very consistent. They've done a nice job.
Willie Harris will come off the bench, and he will pinch hit in the ninth, and he will fall behind on 1.
Well, and for the Nationals, one of their strengths has been the bullpen, and it's self-destructed pretty much the entire series. Tyler Clippard in Game 1, the passed ball by Storen yesterday, and then Tyler Clippard here in Game 3. So basically, it's come down to some really close ball games that your bullpen has just shut down our offense.
Yeah, and it's been the opposite, really, when the Orioles really coming into a couple games before this series, that when the Orioles actually had an opportunity to win some games, they just couldn't close it out with their bullpen.
2-1 the count on Harris.
Of course, with the closer situation, Gonzalez going down, Jim Johnson going down, Simone went down with the hamstring thing right after a couple games of doing well. They were forced kind of to put Hernandez in that role after Oman failed in that role.
Fouls it off to even the count.
Now it looks like Koji Uehara's back activated. Simone's doing a nice job, and Hernandez can do that as well. So it's interesting how right now it just looks like there's a couple things coming together with the club. They're getting some key base hits. They're getting some base hits with runners in scoring position, and the bullpen's shored up a little bit.
The 2-2 is low ball 3. You saw Koji Uehara in the bullpen. He is activated today. The Oriole bullpen in this series, through the strikeout of Michael Morse, 12 innings, 0 runs allowed in the 3 games. Count is full on the pinch hitter Harris, and he misses inside, so the tying run is on with 1 down. Alfredo Simone, as he is apt to do, making it interesting in the ninth.
It's interesting with his fastball. He has a tendency to pull his fastball. He pulls it to the side, yet he gets on top of the splitter and gets great downward movement. And I would think if he, with that fastball arm action that he has, if he pulls his fastball, then maybe he would get more run on it and more tail and sinking away from the left-handed batters when he throws that splitter. But he gets on top so well of the splitter, yet he doesn't get on top of his fastball.
Ivan Rodriguez pinch hitting for Nieves. Willie Harris has outstanding speed at first base. So a ball hit to the gap could tie this game. Simone, the fourth reliever used in this game. And again, Simone the first to keep him close. Willie has only 2 steals on the year. He's been caught twice.
Well, Rodriguez will hit into the double play, so the Orioles do have a guy up that hits into a lot of double plays.
Slice to right field. Long run from Markakis in the corner. Reaches up, and he got it. Foul ball, and he got it. 2 men down. He disappeared near the garage door where the ground crew comes in and out of the field. And hauled it in for the out, 2 down.
Just a great catch. He's running away. He knows his ballpark, guys, and he knew how much more room he had, and that's sometimes a game saver right there by making that out and catching a ball that a lot of guys might have just let it go.
So the Orioles are 1 out away from a sweep. As Bob Carpenter mentioned earlier, there's been only 1 sweep in the Beltway Series, and the Nationals own that here at Camden Yards, ironically.
Well, I think, listening to you guys and watching the Orioles, I think they've looked into the mirror and seen how they've played the first 75 games of the year. And the Nationals have turned around and played the way the Orioles and the way they played last year. And so hopefully for the Orioles it turns them around. But now for the Nationals, you lose this game, you're going down to Atlanta. Then you come home against the Mets, Padres, and Giants. It's not going to be an easy rest of this first half before the All-Star break for the Nationals after this.
Niger Morgan upswings through it, 0-1.
So if anything, it's how you don't want to play the game the last 3 days.
For some reason, Scott Moore was trying to tell Alfredo Simone he was going to play behind the runner, and he was screamed at by the bench. Scott, that's the tying run. Get back on it. Hold them on.
Yeah, when I saw him do it, I'm like, why are they doing that?
Gary Allenson immediately was up on the top step saying, no, get back. Meantime, it's strike 2. Well, Rob, we want to thank you once again. We always enjoy your company and
thank you.
Interesting insights that you bring to the booth. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the games in Washington in May, and nice to have you here, and have a safe trip to Atlanta.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for making me feel so welcome by making maybe the sweep right here.
Pitch is low, 1-2 as Morgan lays off the splitter.
Now, you've been around baseball too long to know that there is 1 strike left. Were you trying to do the jinx thing or something like that?
No.
The reverse lock.
I've seen this movie and the ending way too many times in the last 7 months of baseball in Washington.
1-2 on Morgan. Runner at first, 2 down. Hit towards first. Moore's got it. He'll step on the base, and the ball game is over, and the Orioles have completed the 3-game sweep. So by having Scott Moore in the bag, Morgan hit him right to him, and the Orioles pull it out. A walk, a man left. Final score at Camden Yards. Battle of the Beltways comes to an end. Orioles 4, Nats 3.
Oh, my God.